How do I get my camera to work? Hello! Hello. Good to fucking see you. Got a nice clean shirt on. Kukaku 3145. What's good? I'm on modified duty at work. Read doing jack shit and have been binging VODs. Wait, what does modified duty mean? Does it mean, yeah, it just means you have nothing to do? That's hype. That's fucking sick, dude. Chill, watch some VODs. Not really early? Oh, I'm sorry. Is hour and a half not early to you? If I said, let's hang out at this time, and then I show up an hour and a half early, you're not like, wow, that's early? You wouldn't... You wouldn't say that's early? I think that would be early. I think 90 minutes is early. Are you hyped for Grok 4 release? Oh my God. Yes. I think if you watch this stream, you know that the one technological innovation of the last few years that I really can't live without, it's Grok. I feel like Grok has just changed everything for the better. And I would ask Grok, is this true? And it would say yes. Staying up all night for Grok 4. Yeah, I fucking love Grok, dude. Grok Tua is what I always say. Did you see the clip of Peter Thiel realizing he's the Antichrist? You must be framing that in a certain way, right? I don't think that Peter Thiel mid-conversation goes, wait, I'm the Antichrist. That I'm Satan. I'm just going to doubt. He like rose off the ground. I don't think he said that. I haven't seen it. I don't know what clip you're talking about. I just don't. Oh, spilling my drink. Watch it. Okay, I'll watch this clip, and I'll try to see if Peter Thiel. Oh my God! Well, he does have a demonic, zombie-like appearance right now. Not to knock his appearance, but it is jarring. All right, let's see what he does.
This is my very specific question for you, right? Is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
Dude. All right, I'll just say, like, from a streamer clip farming PR 101, when someone asks you, are the Antichrist, don't stutter. Even if you don't know what to say, just start talking. Just be like, no, that's silly. And don't, because this is a bad... You know what I'm saying? You got to know how it's perceived. The first thing you do cannot be... you got to just start talking. You got to just go. Brawl's not paying attention to the Antichrist? Yeah, he called him the Antichrist. Well, he said you might hasten the arrival of the Antichrist, but that was a nice way of saying it.
Look, there are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Is that what he's advocating for? Permanent authoritarian rule? Usually, permanent authoritarians have the decency to cloak it. Historically, dictators have had the decency to pretend that's not what they were doing,
Well, but again, there are these different gradations of this we can describe, but is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is a 1 Thessalonians.
Did he just say the world submitted to peace and safetyism? Like peace and safetyism is an evil ideology that has got its boot on our neck? Safetyism? We've been fucking oppressed by safetyism? That's a way to phrase
5:3.
it.
The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety, and we've submitted.
The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety. Okay, but based on that logic, you should vote for candidates who are for war and unsafety, being unsafe. That's a stupid logic. I need the most war-mongering, unsafe candidate. No, not if you want to say MAGA, not even MAGA. Trump ran on pro-peace. I haven't seen anyone run on. Maybe I don't know who. Hillary Clinton was pretty. was pretty trying to talk tough. I think it's because she was trying to. She didn't want to seem like, oh, women can't run the military, because she was constantly talking about military intervention. Yeah, Carter ran on peace. No, I mean, sorry. No, people ran on war. Who's like, we need to be a little more unsafe. My T1 brother H-Rock, will you watch T1 MSI games? I'll watch them myself. Will I watch them on stream? Probably not. I'm going to watch them on casual stream like every God-fearing, red-blooded League of Legends fan. Second-hand flatulence. Thank you for the prime. Appreciate it. Thorn Tuesday, thank you for the 51 months. Today, starting very soon, probably like 5:30, I'm going to do a presentation on the whole daddy's home thing. I think there's more going on there than just the joke of him saying daddy's home, and I kind of wanted to get into it. It involves Europe, U.S. relations, and Ukraine, Russia, and some more stuff, and I want to talk about it. And then after that, I'm probably going to play Age of Empires for an hour or two, just because I really fucking love the game and want to grind it. And then after that, we're probably going to do Get Smarter Saturdays. And then after that, we're going to watch Smallville. It's a fucking banger. It's a banger stream, dude. We got all the fucking core food groups that you need to grow up. I have at least 2 videos I want to watch for GSS, and then I'll let chat pick the rest. But there's some good shit. There's some fucking good shit. I appreciate that. Hey, H-Rock, yesterday I finished my finals from university. Your streams and vids accompany me through this tough time. It was my best semester until now. Thank you, H-Rock. Much appreciated. That's very nice of you. That's very nice of you, El Champu. W's for you. Congratulations on finishing your finals. Hopefully you did well on them. Because obviously you can finish them and they could all have failed. And then it's like W, but then it's, it would not be so good. So I hope you did good. I hope you did good. Or passing. Actually, all you need to do is pass. Straight up, most people don't understand this. All you got to do is pass, bro. Your GPA is so irrelevant. More than like the first job out of college. And even then you can get by. But after your first job, it doesn't matter at all. At all, completely over. So don't have to stress so fucking much. Pass your first internship? Yeah, basically. If you get an internship, you don't even need to worry about the GPA at all. Except if you want grad school, well, yeah. If you want grad school, my opinion on grad school is well established. Works for some. Go for it, but it's very expensive and Atrock, would you do me a favor and start playing creepy video games for me to eep to? You got to speak normal. You can't talk like this. You can't make requests like this. No, Soma was peak. Yeah, I like Soma. I would definitely play the right creepy game. The thing about the games that I like are the scary games I like. You can beat them in one stream would be the ideal. I don't really like when a game is super long. So a creepy game I could beat in one stream would be fucking base. Mouthwashing was fire. Scorn was terrible. Scorn wasn't creepy, it wasn't fun, it wasn't good. But I did like Mouthwashing. That was a fun stream and a great game. Maybe my game of the year last year. You only play one game a year. Okay, that's not very nice. I don't know what else I played last year, but I definitely played Mouthwashing, and it was fucking good. It was a good fucking game. Any input on the Canada-U.S. trade deal fallout? It's not that different, right? In a way, all the trade deals are falling out. And the ones that get signed are like just writing down what we were already doing and then making a big deal out of it. There has been no like, whoa, trade deal yet. There's been no real fucking, oh, this is different. So I don't know. I don't think the Canada thing is that big news. Like, it would be big news if we could actually sign a deal with Japan because we've been negotiating with them nonstop and we can't seem to get anything through. AZ1EEP, thank you for the 22 months. Face Classic. Hey, I got a question regarding your Big A video on the new NYC mayor. So a rich person takes out a loan while hedging their stocks and lending money to avoid taxes that work because they have to pay the loan back as well. Yeah, what they generally do, Face Classic, is they just roll over the loan, which means they take out a new loan to pay the interest on the old loan and just keep doing that because the interest rate's really low. So they can make that go forever. For a long time, ideally. Boop, 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 boop. I mean, all you have to do is pay the interest. I mean, that's like America. We're still in, we don't ever actually pay the debt off. We don't ever actually pay the debt off. We just keep rolling it over. Sounds like what I do, people call it bad when it comes to me. Yeah, I guess. Looking tan today? Well, I did go for a run in the sun. I've been doing some healthy shit. What I haven't been doing, though, is lifting any weights. I'm a fucking beta, dude. I've been eating so much soy. I want to do it, but it's kind of boring. Does anyone else think the gym is fucking... I love basketball. I even like running. But the gym's so fucking boring, bro. It's so snoozer. I need to, like... Doug has those big shoulders. Unironically, Doug's motivating me. He's telling me, he's like, oh, I got to do this many pull-ups a day, this many push-ups. And I'm like, all right, fucking fine. Fucking fine, dude. I'll work out. But it just, it's just a snoozer. Buy a rowing machine and start competing online. You said I found the gym boring and you want me to buy a rowing machine and start doing online rowing competitions? Doug is ripped. Doug is ripped, and all he does is pull-ups and push-ups. I'm not kidding. He just does them obsessively. And runs. But I can already run. I do run. I just don't do... what are his daily numbers? I think he does it till failure or something a couple times. It's very One Punch Man. That's right. You need a gym, bro? You want me to own a gym? Mizkif style? Or you want me to, what, build one in my backyard? What is your... is Doug on steroids? You can tell us? Yes. Yes. I not even need to lie about it. Doug is on every possible steroid known to man. He actually has a cocktail of steroids. He won't start the podcast until he's injected himself with. Oh, you need a gym, bro. Like someone to go to the gym with. That's actually a good idea. Me and Stanzy were going to run together. Maybe we could gym together. It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy. It's just like, I don't know if this is something that you guys have noticed, but real Sigmas don't have friends. And friends kind of hold you back from your grind set in a way. It's like spending any time with another human being for fun is time I could be spent making money. Just feels like when you put it in that way, it's like, why would I ever spend time with another human being? I'm on that friend cell drugs. Friend cell. A friend cell. Didn't stream from the gym? There, now we're talking. Wait, I can monetize it? Wait, I can stream from the gym and monetize it? Go out with your friends so your editors can rob their house. Okay. Wait a minute. If I could turn my editors into a robbery service and be like, oh, Stans, I'm so sorry you got robbed. But secretly it's like, bam, I just made a bunch of cheddar and I got a workout. Consider that we'll be laughing at you benching nothing but the bar. You think I'm benching the bar, huh? You think I'm going live, pushing 45? It's heavy. It's a heavy bar. SpongeBob arms, dude. I'll put 2 marshmallows on there. How to get in charge of your life. Damn. I'm not Google. I'm not ChatGPT, bro. You need a therapist. I'm not going to have the fucking one-word pithy thing that's going to get you in charge of your life, bro. It's a bigger situation than that. I don't even know you. I don't even know what you're dealing with. You could be dealing with some serious shit, or you could be dealing with normal teenage angst. One thing I'll tell you is that I do have the answer to your problem, but I can't give it to you until I'm sure you're committed. And to do that, I need to know that you were subscribed. Do you know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm just noticing you're not subscribed, and I can't unlock my best top tier advice that would really get you fully in control of your life. Grok, is this true? I think selling therapy with Twitch subs breaks some TOS somewhere. A live stream therapist that only helps you out if you sub is such a funny idea. Atrok, is this true? This is factual. What Atrok's saying right now is actually really true. Big A, I'm subbed to the Lemonade Stand Patreon. How do I fix my relationship? What's broken about it? Fire Shard. What's broken about it? I'm working towards rowing the distance from here to the moon. Oh, you keep track? Dude, I actually think rowing is pretty... I want to do some shoulder shit, dude. I want to do lateral raises. Maybe some rowing. I want to do shoulder shit. But I wish it was not a snoozer. I need something to make it fun. I guess it could be like, I just make that my podcast time and I just really lock in on a podcast and work out. I do like listening to podcasts, but I don't know. It feels, get smelling salts. Oh, okay. What about this? What if every time I go to the gym, I give myself a little bit of heroin so that I chemically addict my body to the gym? Or crack or something. I do crack, or what about like that? Meth, yeah. You want an upper, right? Yeah, I gotta do cocaine or something. And I mix that with some steroids, and then suddenly every time I go to the gym, I'm feeling like, wow, I feel like this is a great thing. I become addicted to it. I did this with mobile TFT, and now it's how I do it. Do you mean, Yeti, do you mean that you used mobile TFT as the addiction, or you did crack while playing mobile TFT. You just did drugs while playing mobile TFT to addict yourself to that. Is that what you're saying, Yeti? He said what he said. I've seen people do that with Balatro. That's what Ari does. Ari hops on the treadmill and plays Balatro while doing her 10,000 steps or whatever. And she's addicted to it because she wants to play Balatro so bad, and she makes her part of her. So I guess that could work. It's not crazy. I go to the gym and play mobile TFT while using the bike machine. It's awesome. I also do crack, but that's unrelated based. It's good to have separate hobbies, Yeti, and I appreciate that. What's cool about that is like you could go to like the crack. You could have your crack friends and you could have your TFT friends. And like if you're ever feeling bad about one, you can always hang out with the other group. It's nice to have different groups. That's cool. How many times have you got a gym membership and canceled it? I've done that 4 times so far. They're fucking hard to cancel. God help us, Lena Khan. Yeah, I've probably done that 4 times in my life. Got a gym membership and canceled it. I had a fucking trainer for a minute. Really liked the guy. I forgot what happened. I had a trainer, and I was like 6 months. I was like really, maybe more than that, maybe a year. Yeah, the Xbox Starfield guy. And, it was basketball. Yeah, I switched to basketball. And then, he left that job anyway. He's not there anymore. But I switched to basketball. And now, man, why do I know that and you don't? Bro, that's a question you got to ask yourself. I can't be blamed. You can't put that on me, dude. Maybe you know too much too quickly. I can't be taking the flag, dude. I just tell stories on here. Go climbing, brother. Everyone fell off on climbing. I feel like climbing is like a virus that infects usually nerdy, usually male friend groups. Okay? It goes in and everyone gets infected and they get super into climbing and then it fades away. Like it passes. I've seen this happen. I could become patient zero and try to bring it back. Everyone in my group was infected and now I'm the only one doing it. Exactly, dude. Fucking exactly. It like sweeps through it like the plague, but then it usually moves on. Wait till golfing gets you. I'm never gonna golf. I'm just not. I'm never gonna golf. If I ever show up here like fucking Nade Shot talking about golfing, pack it in. Pack it in. I'm never golfing, bro. It's just not for me. I don't need to do sport. I have basketball. I love basketball. I play basketball almost every day. It's a blast. I get sun. I get outdoors. I play with strangers. I play with friends. It's great. But I don't work out. I'm never, ever going to get... I just figured if I played enough basketball, my shoulders would get bigger, and it turns out that's not true. It's just not true. My shoulders will never get bigger playing basketball. It's just not going to happen. So I actually have to work out. Like I have to do that. If there's a goal I want. Start chopping wood? For what? I don't need the wood. Why would I just not lift a weight then? Why would I chop the wood? You're dressed for it? I guess I am dressed for it. I'm lumberjack coded, baby. All right, touche. Touche. I'm lumber maxing, dude. I'm gonna get out there and fucking chop it up. Chop it a huzz, you know? Terrible. You should follow around a gymnastics group and copy the calisthenics. Step one, I have to follow around a gymnastics group. Wouldn't that seem a little creepy? Wouldn't that be off-putting if I was like staring at a gymnastics group and then trying to copy their calisthenics? I feel like maybe I could just you should have ChatGPT make you a shoulder-only workout and sue. Here, let me put a little fucking timer here. Boop. ChatGPT, can you make me a shoulder-only workout that will give me big shoulders? Big honking shoulders in 6 months. Here's a shoulder-only workout plan designed to give you big honking shoulders in 6 months. Jesus Christ. I have to sleep 7.5 hours a night, eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and I have to do seated dumbbell overhead press, cable lateral raises, rear delt fly machines, dumbbell front raises, face pulls. Do you think like maybe I could work out my shoulders by scrolling TikTok, or is that like if I scroll it like with force, do you think that would it's almost like a row. 100%? Do the Linkus Super Swim workout? Get a person-sized phone. Oh my God. Dude, what if, you get a big phone and I have to do a row machine to scroll it? Wait, that's actually a fire idea. What if it's a gigantic phone playing TikTok and I have to pull it and each pole scrolls it? So I'm just sitting there scrolling TikTok for 3 hours, but I'm getting so many pulls in. Wait, that's not only a fire idea, that's a fire video. That's actually a fire video, dude. The brain rot rowing machine. Hey, Truck, first time chatter here. What's the over-under on Fed lowering interest rates at the end of July? And is betting on interest rates using Robinhood a recession indicator? People have always bet on interest rates. The market does it all times. So, no, I wouldn't say that's a recession indicator. What's the over-under? I mean, you could look that up. You could literally look up the exact percentage chance that the market is putting on people raising or lowering interest rates. What I understand is this. The market is currently betting that 2 things will happen. Number 1, Jerome Powell will be replaced at the end of his term in early 26. Number 2, the person that comes in will jam interest rates down as Trump wants. Trump will replace them with someone who wants to do his bidding, and that person will jam them down. That is what the market is betting. Anything outside of that, it's all speculation. It's possible that Jerome could cut him himself. He'll look like he's caving to pressure, but maybe he just thinks we need a cut. Inflation has been relatively low in like recent quarters. It's 2-something%. It hasn't gotten down to 2, which it really should, especially after years of being above 2. The idea would be, but it's lower, and unemployment is seeming like more and more of a problem. So you could make the case he should cut it. That won't lower our federal borrowing rates. You're right. It won't. That's correct. The 10-year is not controlled by Jerome Powell. That's just the market, and people are demanding more and more from America to loan us money. Hey, Truck, I had a manager that read some startup book that people feel better when they see others smiling. So naturally, during a crunchy death march time, he asked us all to smile when we did our stand-up morning meeting so we'd all start feeling better. Honestly thought it would solve morale. Dude, that's so fucking cringe. That's the most like extreme example of dog shit manager reads dog shit management book and throws an insane, stupid plan. That's an insane bit. Is it from Brooklyn Nine-Nine or is that real? To be fair, it's true it can help. No, I'm going to tell you right now that your manager forcing you to smile to make everyone feel better is not helping. People feel better when they see others smiling, asterisk, genuinely. Genuinely. It has to be a genuine smile. Yes, of course, as a human, you see someone else genuinely smile, it makes you feel better. If it's a forced smile, nobody is fooled. Your brain is not fooled. You're not like, well, you know what? We're working to death for low wages, but I feel good. By the way, chat, I feel like the vibe here isn't good enough. I need you all to smile. So I'm not going to read any chat messages that don't have a smile in them. Please put a smiley face in it so that I know that you're bringing a good vibe to the content and everybody's in a good mood. The more smilers, the better. Okay? Thoughts on the issues in Thailand? I don't see a smile. I don't see a smile. Oh, Aga is a smile? All right. Well, I need a bigger smile. I need a bigger smile. Okay. Hey, Shrek, I just released my first Unreal Engine game, and it's holding 100% positive into the first few days. What game is it so I can leave a negative review? I hate that you have a higher review score than Get to Work, so I need to shut that shit down. No, congratulations, W. Congrats to you, Grumpelstiltskin. But you know, just if you do have your review percent go down, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It usually just means more people are checking out the game. If you got small reviews, 100%, it will eventually go down if more people play, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's good. Thoughts on Trump settling the Congo-Rwanda war? Wouldn't say it's settled. But actually, from the little I read about it, seems like a good thing. His motives are not pure. He wants the rare earth minerals, the Congolese rare earth minerals. But anything that's progress from people killing each other. It's funny. I do think he's like on the hunt all over for the Nobel Peace Prize. It just really feels like he's all over. He's trying to find anywhere. He'll go to the Congo if he has to. Isn't the Congo the most mineral rich place? Yes, it is. Well, I don't know if it's the most in the world, but it is very mineral rich, which is the reason there's interest. I'll have to read more and see about it, but it seems like a better spot than it was the day before. So I always applaud that. Let's go, my goat, Donnie T. Hey, H-Rock, first time shout here. Want to know if the trip to China with Lemonade Stand is still up since I live there. A Lemonade Stand viewer in China? Yeah, we're definitely going to do it. We just have to hit 10,000 patrons. Based on the rate we're going, we'll probably hit it this year, if I had to guess. But I don't know. TBD, I don't know. Thoughts on the Kitons nerf? What do you think this means for AoE 2? I know that nobody cares about this, but there was an extremely broken civilization in Age of Empires 2 that just got nerfed, and it's fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome, dude. I'm so excited. It makes me want to play more today because they finally nerfed that dog shit broken ass civilization. It says 11,000 members. Yeah, but there's like a way to do it for free. Like on Patreon, you can like sign up for, sorry, I don't remember what this is. Like on Patreon, you can sign up and just for the email list or whatever and adds you as a patron. We actually have like, I'd say 7,000, something like that. 7,000 patrons. We're close. We're close. But we're not quite there. And we'll get there. 7,623 paid patrons. How about that? That's pretty good. That's hype. We just did a Patreon episode for Lemonade Stand, and actually not me. I crash out, but Aiden has the biggest crash out I've ever seen from Aiden on some commenters. Aiden snaps, dude. I might try to make it a clip. I've already done that so many times, I might not, but it's so funny to me. He loses it. It's not here. It's just the Patreon episode. He just says, I think he literally looks dead in the camera and goes, if you're saying this, shut the fuck up. I was cracking up, dude. And he starts doing his whole Aiden thing. Like, and then, wait, of course it was awesome. It was awesome. It's also good because Aiden's been kind of stressed this week, and I think he just let it all out on the. What's the timer? Just for asking about the timer, I'm pushing it back. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm pushing it back, but I was gonna do that anyway. Aiden gets physically longer the more emotional of a point he makes. That's true. He does. He's like when you're trying to scare a bear and you have to make yourself seem bigger. He does that when he's emotional about a point. He's like, his body expands. What is the timer for? Well, wouldn't you like to know? No, the timer's, I want to talk about the Daddy's Home thing in NATO. I have a little presentation I want to give. Not very long, just a little fucking prez that I want to talk about that. I think it's interesting. There's more going on than just him saying Daddy's Home. Have you seen that Nadeshot spent 20 grand on CS cases? Def a good investment in it? Probably not a good investment. Nadeshot's fucking breaded and leaded, dude. He's got a lot of money. I wouldn't worry about his finance. I wouldn't pocket watch him. I think he'll be all right. What if you did that, but with a weighted vest for your shoulders? Wait, what do you mean? Hey, Arid, thank you for the 47 months. Chinos, thank you for the prime. Joey, thank you for the 24. Spangy, thank you for the 51. Troy the boy, thank you for the prime. Dave's Banana, thank you for the 26. Insert the Warren Buffett knife skin. Listen, I talk shit on Aiden and his CSGO skins all the fucking time. As far as I know, they're up. As far as I know, they are up. Does it seem a little foolish to sell a car to buy a CS skin? Yes. Did he do it and make a profit? Yes. What am I going to do? Am I going to fucking... Hey, Rockefeller Steel, thank you for the 5 gifties. Much appreciated. Do you have a message? You said based. I guess it is based. CS skins are gold. I think Warren Buffett would say gold is a stupid rock, but CS skins are forever. So take from that what you will, but I do think How's the stock competition? Bro, Aiden has made so much money on TMC, the rare earth deep sea metals mining company. I believe that one stock is more than everyone else in the competition. Entire portfolio. I think that one stock is up 3.3K. And the next highest entire portfolio is up 2.3K. It's just that stock is fucking hit. You can't sell. TMC went up 330%. Yup. That's correct. Look, TMC stock. Boo, boo, boo. Look at this. Look at this bad boy. Sheesh. This is when he buys it. This is where it is now. Actually, this is when he buys it. Something around here. It's up, bro. LUT is up? Wait, no way. LUT is up. All 5 of the homies are up? Oh, no. That's a top ticker. The crash is coming. Ludwig being up means we are in a bubble, folks. That is a recession indicator. That's a top tick if I've ever seen one. Nothing more bubbly than this portfolio of stocks being net positive. Doomed. Fucking doomed. He's up $8.95. It's a disaster still. It is funny, all is up and down. S&P's only up 2.9. I can't believe Oxygen isn't Doug's lowest. It's Doug's second highest. This was ChatGPT's pick, Oxygen. It just made up it didn't make up a stock, but it made up the reason why. And then now it's up 38%. It's up more than fucking gold. Fuck, I sold Oxygen last year. Why even have it to begin with? Why are you as a retail investor buying Oxygen, dude? That can't be based in research. It has to be gambling. Just go to Vegas at that point. What should I buy instead? Any financial advice? I think you should buy a first-class plane ticket to the Bahamas and just live it up, bro. That's my advice. Invest in mental health. Imagine ChatGPT is telling people to buy Oxygen. It is. It did. I just did my research. I watched Doug buy the stock and was like, that's all I need to see. I guess true. If you've seen a financial advisor like Doug do it, you should be able to do it. Arctic121, thank you for the 5 gifties. Did you have a message? Did you have a message? You said, screw oil futures, invest in CSGO skins. This is going to sound crazy. Possibly neither. Possibly don't invest in oil futures as a retail trader, and possibly don't put all your money into digital knives. There's actually different You're making it seem like you have 2 options. You have more than 2. Oil gets used up, skins are forever. Do you think that things that get used up can't be sold for a profit? Do you think no one's ever made a profit selling a banana? Because people eat it. It gets used up. They can't. You can sell things. People pay to use them. They found oil under my metaverse land. They struck oil in the metaverse, bro. You're rich. From what I can tell, I'm surprised bananas turn profit. Hey, Big A, what's the plan for today? First time catching the stream chat. Doesn't seem to be that bad on the YouTube video. They're always spamming glizzy glizzy. First of all, you're part of the problem. This is your first time chat message and you are spamming glizzy. You are part of the people spamming glizzy. And in fact, you've started, I don't know if you noticed, you've started a glizzy spam. What you're doing is the problem. Anyway, welcome from YouTube. We're going to be doing a little prez here in just a minute. But I'm enjoying this vibe. I'm getting the vibe of the chat, dude. I like talking to people. What's the presentation on? It's on the Daddy's Home comments from Trump and Mark Rutte at NATO and the larger implications. It's really just a kickoff point for a bigger discussion I want to have about U.S., EU, NATO, Russia, Ukraine, etc., etc., etc. Then AOE 2, and then yada, yada, yada. What do you think will be the next oil? People say data is the digital oil. Whoever has access to high-quality training data is the oil of the 21st century. Nerds say that? Well, he's asking what the next one. I'm explaining it. That's dumb. Okay. Okay. Sure. I'm just telling you that's what people say. The next oil is THC oil. I find it hard to believe the world will orient itself around THC oil in the way it did regular oil. I don't know if we're going to get so fucking high off THC oil that we'll be fighting wars to maintain access to it. I don't think we're going to have the THC dollar where we tie the dollar to the value of weed. Already has liberal. Are you implying that liberals don't smoke weed? Are you implying that it's a based conservative take to smoke weed and that liberals don't get it? Oh no, the timer. Wait, give me this last extension. It's Christian. I do think it would be cool to have like a religion that really praises smoking weed. I think they'd get a lot of followers. I think they would get a congregation. Rastafarianism, is that true or is that a stereotype? I actually don't know. Does Rastafarianism actually advocate smoking weed? Or, you know, it's called melee players. Oh, let me look it up. Does Rastafarianism advocate smoking weed? It does. Ganja is a sacrament, a spiritual herb that facilitates a closer connection with God. Wait, maybe I'm Rastafarian. Damn, I didn't know that. I straight up didn't know that it was. I thought it was. They're very homophobic, though. So am I. If a gay person leaves a mean comment on my YouTube, suddenly my fucking wokeness goes out the window. It doesn't hold up to fucking. It's Pride Month. I'm half by. I'm in the club. Don't you worry about me. How would you even know they are? This is a joke. Yes, sir. GG. H for Grok. What, dude? I actually don't know if you guys know this. I fucking hate Grok. I despise Grok. I don't know if I've made that clear. I don't like that it exists. I find it to be distasteful because I'm constantly reminded every day that people are outsourcing all of their thought to Grok, to Grok, to Elon Musk's AI. Grok explain. What is Grok? You really don't know? You don't know Grok? Grok is the chat GPT of Twitter. And so anytime anybody tweets anything at all, the top response is at Grok, is this true? There's never a thought of critical thinking or response. It's just asking Grok. So no matter what I read on Twitter, I always at the top response see Grok being like, just auto-generating some crap. At Grok, is the timer real? You know what? Grok would tell you it's real. That's the crazy thing. Is this white genocide? Do you guys think every time I knock the timer back, that's in a way white genocide? Is that a fair argument to make? I see. I didn't see it that way, but you're making a really compelling case. Diabetic Plague, thank you for the 6 months. Been a minute since I stopped by. What does Close with Smallville mean? I'm autistic and that's my comfort show, so I know everything about it. Almost afraid to tell you this, but it means we watch an episode of Smallville to close the stream. However, I got to be honest with you, I usually poke a little bit of fun at it. I'm usually not like praising it like it's the greatest show of all time. I find it to be very fun to watch with chat. I don't think I would enjoy watching it myself alone. But it's actually, it's easily, I think it is the best stream show that I've watched. It's very fun to watch on stream. It's just got a lot of things that are very fun to make fun of. And maybe House was at first, but I'm sure like this show, I don't know if I can do all the seasons of Smallville. I'll probably stop after 1 or 2. Because the problem with House is like, man, that formula really sets in. And it's fun and it's easy to jump into, but after 7, 8 seasons, fucking... All right. Okay. Actually, truly last extension of, let's see, 2 minutes. 2:30. And let me make sure I have everything set up. Probably should have done that first. Get this, open this, move this, PogChamp. Beep, 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 beep. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, we're watching episode 9 tonight and playing some Age of Empires. It'll be fucking fun, dude. It'll be a good stream. I've heard people say there are parts of Smallville that are good. It's mostly garbage. I don't even see it as garbage. I like a sloppy show now and then. It's slop, but it's like, it's fun. Why does every show has to be The Wire? It's just goofy. It's funny. It's fine. I like it. I got no problem with it. But I don't think it's going to ever be high art. There might be some good episodes here or there. Same with House, dude. House had some episodes that were kind of heaters. Hugh Laurie can act his pants off, dude. Sometimes he fucking goes for it. But overall, it's slop. Pauly Market has LeBron retiring before he has 8 rings at 4%. Wait, what? LeBron retiring Pauly Market. I don't see what you're talking about. I hope Braun doesn't retire. He's 50. He's 40. He's not ever, but okay, ever. But I think he should go to be the oldest person to ever play in the NBA. If LeBron is 40 and he's the 10th highest scorer in the league, then he can go to 44, 45. I think he could do it. I think he could. Why not go for the record, dude? Why not? Okay. But injury? Yeah, he's the least injury-prone dude out there. He should be kept around as a mascot for the league. Wouldn't that be kind of sad, though? LeBron out there, like, just getting his shot blocked by fucking 19-year-olds. Just can't blow by anybody. Can't. Do you want me to be remembered as the oldest NBA player? He's not going to be remembered as the oldest NBA player. He has plenty of accolades. He'll be remembered as an incredible basketball player. But I think it's almost legendary to be playing the game for that long at a high level. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. LeBron should break his knees, then play wheelchair ball. No, I don't think LeBron should break his own knees and then play wheelchair ball. I don't think so. Nah, probably not a good idea. Bronny should have a kid ASAP and let LeBron play with him as well. Yeah, I think LeBron should play until his first grandson's in the league. I think that's normal and fair. He should be able to alley-oop to his grandson. I don't think that's fucking crazy. Anyway, people are saying LeBron should retire now. And I think if you are top 10 in the league, if you're dropping 25 a night, it's fucking crazy to tell you to retire. Yes, he's 40, but he can play. I don't understand people are. It's he's not top 10. He's top 10 scoring regular season. Top 10. I think he had the 10th highest average. Yeah, I think he did. He was number 6 in MVP votes. Yup. He could do it, is all I'm saying. He could play another season. Probably 2. Minimum. While still being good. A-Rock just wants a reputation from fellow olds. Okay. You're kind of joking, but I'll be dead honest with you. When LeBron retires, it does feel like, damn, it's over. You know what I'm saying? For anyone who like, because there's this thing, as you get older, more and more people in pro sports are younger than you. But as long as LeBron is still in the league and he's older than me, it's like, I'm fine. I could probably still do it. You know what I'm saying? He's got 6 years on me. He's got 7 years on me. But if he's gone, then there's not that many people left. That's there is something to that. It's going to be a moment when he's gone, dude. It's going to be a moment. Luka LeBron's respectable. It would be a shame if he retired now. Yeah, plus they never even got to have one like real good season together. I think, man, you got to do one more. If we have one more Lakers season and LeBron is fucking trash, which he wasn't this last time, but if he is, then, hang it up. Call it a day, Unc. But, Wemby's going to be the face of the league in 2 years? Dude, Wemby fans just conveniently ignoring the fact that he's like possibly gonna get insanely debilitatingly injured. Listen, Wemby's incredible, but there's a big risk, bro. There's a big fucking risk. You guys are trying to pre-count down? That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Count down from 40 then. Hey, Kaladin Bless, thank you for the 2 months. Thank you for the 2 months. Spurs win the chip in the next 3 years? If Wemby's healthy, yeah, probably. He's very good. He's very good, but who knows? Who fucking knows, dude? Extend the timer to Glaze some more? Do you think I should knock the timer back 20 minutes and talk only about LeBron for 20 minutes? Would that be okay? Who here, raise your hand physically in the room if you think that would be a good idea. To just glaze LeBron. Okay. Timer over. Let's fucking... As a Mavs fan, I do not think Flag will fill the Luka-shaped hole in my heart. This is the fucking height of greed. Dude, think about where the Mavs were a fucking month ago. Think about it. This is like, you gotta take it. You gotta take what you can get. This is insane fucking life raft from God. That's assuming it's not absolutely handed and rigged, which it looks like. Insane greed, bro. Lakers fan talking about greed. I just think the league should rig it so that we get AD back. We keep Luka and get AD back because we need a center. I think, is that greedy? Is that too much to ask? I think Lakers deserve it. That's the difference, is they deserve it. The thing is, the city of LA has more money, so it should have more wins. Do you understand? Money should be a proxy for... do you also want Kyrie? Isn't Kyrie, like, low-key cooked? Didn't he get injured? When the Lakers are winning the league, it's a better place. Listen, I'll just say this, okay? I'll just say this. Well, I was thinking about the last time Lakers won the league, but it was COVID. And then the time before that was like, what, 2009 recession? Actually, when the Lakers win the league, it's like fucking, it's world disaster. And the last time before that was what, 2001 and 9/11? Wait, I feel like every time the Lakers win, and it was 2010, right? It was 9 and 10? Yeah, okay. But that's still recession. I think if the Lakers win the league, it might be a disaster, actually, for the world. It'd be worth it, but it's a... Or maybe, when times are toughest, the Lakers step up to give the world a much-needed win. You ever think about that? Maybe Kobe Bryant saw the recession and said, okay, it's time for me to step the fuck up. The world needs this. Maybe Braun saw COVID and said, okay, people are sad right now. What'll make them happy? If I really try. Maybe Shaq said in 2001, this 9/11 shit is dividing America. You know what'll unite them? Me getting 3 rings. The Lakers are the lemonade stand of basketball. What the fuck does that mean? What is that? What is that? What are you trying to say with that? They do have 3 white guys. That's true. The Lakers do have 3 white guys in LA. You might be onto something. You actually might be onto something. Do you think you're the Luka Doncic of lemonade stand? Yes. I think I'm the white Luka of lemonade stand and of basketball in general. Yes. And I know what you're going to say. It's because I'm fat. It's because I can't stop eating Sour Patch Kids. And that's true too. Did we talk about Canada yet? I'm honestly interested. If anyone thinks the Canada situation is like deeper or more interesting than I think it is. I think it's not. It's just another one-line item on trade deals not working. I don't understand why people. It's that I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's that crazy. What happened in Canada? Just the trade deal fell through between Trump and Canada, and now there's there's some beef, but it's not. It's nothing special or new or unique to Canada. I don't think that's anything. That seems very status quo. It's happening right now in Japan or every other country negotiating the deal. I just don't understand. Yeah, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. I totally could be. Can only read so much. Can only read so much. Did I have? Oh, I wanted to talk about before I'm going to do this presentation here in just a second. I promise. But I just wanted to say that, did you guys see Jeff Bezos' wedding in Venice? His $20 million wedding with celebrities at it. Is Jeff Bezos really close friends with Oprah? Like, why does Jeff have all that money and think that's what he needs? He needs the Kardashians and Oprah at his wedding. Are they friends, or is he just trying to flex, or why do that? They're not pals. They don't hang out. Sydney Sweeney was at Jeff Bezos' wedding. It just feels like classless. I get why he does it. Why do they do it? I mean, I assume if you're famous, being connected to Jeff Bezos can lead to money and opportunity, especially in Hollywood with Prime. But I just don't understand why. It just feels weird. I think you'd want your wedding, especially if you have all the money in the goddamn world. You feel like you'd want your wedding to just be people that actually ride or die with you and not Oprah. It's about connections? Yeah, I guess. Jeff Bezos tweet? What is this? Yeah, I know this tweet. This is when Jeff Bezos was trying to be a little more active on social media because he realized that Elon Musk was cooking him on that. So he hired a PR firm and was trying to do. But I mean, the same thing Zuck did later. But Jeff Bezos gave it up pretty quickly because it wasn't working. Do you think Bezos has genuine friends? Yeah, I mean, I assume he probably has some people that he's had from before he was a gazillionaire, but probably not many. He's a psychopath, dude. But anyway, on the, in Venice where they're having the wedding, which they fucking took over a chunk of the city with their yachts and their party, people were making dolls of Jeff Bezos and throwing them into the river. Look. Can I get a... Yeah, here it is. These were floating around. That's an Amazon Prime box, by the way. Shit is funny. And the sign on it was just something about Jeff Bezos needs to pay more tax, which is fucking true. Way too realistic. Yeah, it does look good, right? If you can rent Venice for your wedding, you can pay more taxes. That's what it says. That's what it was. Shit was fire. Snaps. Only because, like, from an American POV, I don't know if you guys know this, but Jeff Bezos told the world that he wanted to spend more time with his dad and then moved to Florida and then immediately sold all of his stock. Not all of his stock, but hundreds of billions of dollars of stock, tens of billions of dollars of stock. And, like, it wasn't to be near your dad. It was to get a lower tax rate on the sale. And it's just wild because he made all his wealth in Washington, but didn't have to pay their tax. That's crazy. That's... Theoretically, how easy or difficult would it be for Jeff Bezos to buy a country? Could he become dictator if he wanted? I mean, countries aren't for sale. Like on eBay, you know? I think it would be very difficult. He could use his money to influence a politician, but you can't write a check. And it would be difficult for him to go to a country where he's not a citizen and run a campaign that wins enough votes to win, even with a lot of money. Do you know what I'm saying? He probably could. I actually don't think he could. I'm not saying he can't have influence, but I don't think, like, if Jeff Bezos' goal was to become the dictator of Belize, how would he do it? I don't think he could do it. I actually don't think he could do it. He could get a Belize politician in his pocket. Just buy an army? Dude, I feel like you are underestimating the consequences on his assets if Jeff Bezos bought a private army and tried to assault Belize. I think you're acting like there would be no consequences. And I find that to be very hard to believe. It's not like we wouldn't know about it. You know, it's not like, oh, it's Belize, right? Who knows what goes on down there? People would know. It would be the front page news. It's hard to believe that would not lead to a problem. The UN would write a stern letter. I think his companies would receive severe sanctions. I think he'd have problems. I think, again, Jeff Bezos as dictator of Belize, I'm sorry, I think there'd be a lot of popular unrest. I don't think he could hold on. He will just buy the UN then? Now he's buying the UN. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm not quite sure that he could do that. He could be the Pope. That would be dictator of Vatican City. So you think you're agreeing with me, Jeff Bezos, low odds of taking over Belize, but high odds of becoming Pope. There's nobody the Cardinals will vote for more than Jeff Bezos. Nobody who said, harder for a camel to fit through an eye of the needle than a rich man to get into heaven. But they're going to vote Jeff Bezos as the Pope, as God's representative on earth. It's a big ass needle. Technically, he sold the most Bibles. That's such a fire argument. That's actually such a fire argument. To pull up the Amazon Bible sales and be like, technically, I've done more to spread this religion than any man in this room. Okay? I've sold millions of Bibles. That's actually a really powerful. You've actually convinced me. Fuck it! Bezos for Pope. He's a true evangelist, yeah. Fuck it, Bezos for Pope. Okay, all right. Enough stalling. Okay, enough Joseph stalling. Let's talk about. This is the problem: is that you have to hype yourself up to talk about Europe because it's like, oh, Europe. Just saying the word makes me. I don't know. This is not really a Marketing Monday, but I'll give you the very beginning of the intro.
I should have been a skater, maybe a heartbreaker, some kind of creator, simple money maker. I'm just a simple money maker.
Okay. Cut it off early. Listen, I want to talk. I want to talk about Europe. I want to talk about America. I want to talk about Ukraine. I want to talk about Russia. And most of all, I want to talk about Daddy. Okay? You've probably seen that there has been a NATO conference at The Hague recently where everyone showed up and they clapped. NATO is the military alliance between these European countries and America. And, you know, they've been on the rocks lately because Trump has been not as supportive of NATO as previous American administrations. Okay? So they all met to hash out their differences and figure out the future of NATO. And while at this event, Mark Rutte, who is the Secretary General of NATO and Prime Minister of the Netherlands, did something that you might consider a little bit embarrassing.
They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easy to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
I think we have to join the others.
Yes.
He called Trump Daddy and said that Daddy sometimes has to use strong language, talking about how Trump handled Israel and Iran, which is wild. It's a wild thing to do. He implied he was Daddy. And, you know, this got me thinking, first of all, why would a human behave in that way? A human who's achieved a lot of success in his own life. I mean, he's Secretary General of NATO, and why is he behaving in this way? And so I wanted to sort of paint just a broad picture of what the reality is on the ground with regards to NATO and U.S. and Europe relations, okay? But just to follow up on this particular daddy line for a bit, Trump loved it. Trump loved being called daddy. In fact, when asked about it, he put some words in Mark's mouth.
Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
I don't think he said, "You're my daddy," Trump. I don't remember him saying, "You're my daddy." And then the idea that's like, if he doesn't do what I say, I'll hit him hard. You know, this relationship between U.S. and Europe is way more obviously transactional, kinky under Trump than it was before. It feels different. And he also followed it up by putting out a That's from the official White House account. So Daddy's home. And the reason this is happening is kind of multifaceted. I remarked when we first saw this live that what Mark Rutte was doing in this conversation, you know, really sycophantically glazing Trump. We're like, oh, you're so great. Oh, you're so strong. Reminded me very much of like Grima Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings. Very much like he's clearly got a goal in mind. He's got an angle. Why is he doing? What does he want to get out of it? And so I want to sort of like explain that. I want to give you the reality of what's going on here and what Europe and the NATO alliance is trying to get and what Trump's trying to get and what's going on. So first, let's rewind. right after the Cold War, let's say like 92, 93, early 90s, Europe actually did spend a good chunk of money on their own defense. And I'm going to use some random military item stats, but this applies more broadly. But like, for example, in 1992, Germany had 3,200 of these troop carrier / tank things. These, I forget what you call them, like infantry mobilization vehicles or whatever. They had like 3,200. In 2025, they have 680. In 1992, these howitzers, artillery weapons, Germany had 3,180. Now they have 109. Over the past, let's say, 30 years, most countries in Europe have cut back spending on the military and use it to spend on social services, social safety nets, programs for regular people, whatever. They've spent less in the military and more on society, which has allowed Germany to have things that other countries don't have, like not Germany, Europe to have things other countries don't have, like more universal health care and things like that. Okay, so this has been the trade-off, and because of that in the past 30 years, they've relied more and more on America for defense. And so America has had a lot of pull over NATO, the alliance. Basically, in the past 30 years, if America wanted something to happen with NATO, it happened. They were pretty much able to have heavy influence over it, and it gave them a lot of soft power over Europe. Trump doesn't like that deal. Trump has come in and said, this deal sucks, and I would like Europe to pay more into NATO. If we're going to spend this % of our GDP, they're going to spend this % of GDP. And he doesn't like the deal that it was before. Okay. Now, on its surface, you could say maybe that makes sense. Maybe Trump would like to cut American military spending so he can spend it on other things like Europe had, like healthcare and education, foreign aid, etc. The problem is, first of all, he's not doing that. He's actually increasing military spending while still demanding that Europe pays more and loses our soft power. So I have a problem with that in general, but okay, I can see it. He wants them to spend more money. And to be honest, with the situation being what it is right now, Europe still has to listen. They still, with the threat of Russia, with their lack of influence in the Middle East over two key canals that put a lot to Europe, they still have to listen. And so what is going on here is that Europe is agreeing to Trump's demands while planning how to get out from under his thumb behind the scenes. Because Trump would like Europe, in this case, to all spend 5% of their GDP on defense, which is a huge increase. And he wants them to buy more guns, tanks, and planes. By the way, my dad flew one of these planes. I lived on a NATO base in Germany. My dad flew one of these AWACS planes. They're radar planes. Kind of cool. But ideally, in Trump's world, all of this money is going to American guns, American tanks, American planes. And that American companies will thrive on this. They'll spend more money. He'll keep all the influence. But obviously, that's not how it works. There's trade-offs. So while NATO did agree, and Mark Rutte just fucking kissed the ring. I mean, he just basically said, Daddy, you're great. What a great plan. You're helping out. Because right now, they still need Trump and America in NATO. They still need it. They have not built their capabilities. What they're trying to do is move outside of that behind the scene. Like up front, be like, oh, yes, good, sir, Daddy, yes, sir. But then behind the scenes, change things. And I want to give a specific example. The first and most obvious way is that Europe is very quickly trying to accelerate not just the amount they're spending on the military as part of this deal, but who they're spending on it with. So instead of buying American guns, American tanks, American planes, European defense stocks are rising very quickly. This is Europe Aerospace and Defense ETF from the last year, up 70%. Germany's trying to build its own weapons, aircraft, tank facilities. So the goal in the short term, they'll probably buy more American military stuff, but the long term is to build their own defense sales industry that they can then buy from. That's the idea. And then the second thing is, you know, they're being bullied not only on NATO, but on trade. Trump is trying to throw around tariffs on all countries in the world, but especially on Europe, in order to get what he wants. And I have been watching this story closely, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, that's not without cost. People are rational actors, not all the time, but in some ways. And if you are pressuring them over and over on an area, they're going to try to find a way to get out of that pressure. And so what's going on is, this was announced very recently. EU leaders are trying right now to create a new trade bloc with Asia Pacific to basically make a WTO of their own, that it's a group chat without the United States. They're trying this right now. Like, this is already starting to be floated to get enough economic power to eventually say, fuck you. So right now they're playing ball, is what I'm saying. Europe is playing ball, and they're doing, I think, the very old Machiavellian style of just saying whatever the guy wants to hear. But the actions show something different. The actions show, you know, building their own defense industry to not require America, and to try to build a new trading bloc, possibly with Canada too, to cut U.S. out of the picture. And I think this needs to be understood from a game theory perspective when you say, like, oh, this looks like it's going well. Like, if you're somebody who sees this daddy's home stuff and thinks, wow, we're just fucking making Europe kiss the ring. That's one way to look at it. And it is embarrassing that Mark Rutte did this. I do think it is embarrassing that he's talking like this. But I just want you to know, like, it's not as short-term as it looks. It clearly is part of a larger strategy of telling this guy what he wants to hear in order to eventually not have to rely on America. All this to be said, NATO spending probably needed to increase anyway because of the threat of Russia, especially if Trump's going to pull back. So I want to talk about two things additionally after that. First is that not every European country agreed. All of them did but one. One country did not sign this deal. España. Okay? Every NATO country but one said they were going to do the 5% deal. And it's going to be tough for them to pay. I want you to be clear that, like, even if they are spending it on European defense stocks, European defense companies, it's going to be difficult for Europe to get used to the idea of 5% of GDP, which is billions and billions of euros being spent on defense when they used to have that for social. It's like the money just sitting around. They're going to take on debt to afford it. There may come with some costs. And that's why Spain said no, they're just not going to pay it, which caused Trump to lash out.
Yeah. A question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today?
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And, you know, they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. You know, Spain is the only country that, are you from Spain?
So I want you to really pay attention to what he said there. I mean, which is why Europe is doing this. He's talking like a mafia boss. You know, he's talking like the guys that offer protection. It's a threat, dude. It's a nice economy. We'd be ashamed if something happened to it. Like, he's clearly constantly throwing around the ability to hurt you on trade, very thinly veiled, in an attempt to get what he wants. And the idea that sovereign nations in a large economic bloc like this aren't going to try to get around that is, I think, a silly one. So I just want to reiterate sort of a larger theme I've had, which is like, all the stuff Trump's doing seems so short term. It seems designed to use the power we have now to get a few short-term concessions at the cost of long-term alliances. And it's proving to be unpopular. Like, on all these fronts, Americans are slowly but surely approving less and less. Specifically on the three worst things, which is trade, economy, and Israel-Iran war. So I just don't think, I don't think it's worth the cost, is what I'm saying. Even if I do agree that maybe there's a world where we do spend less on military and other parts of NATO spend more. Like, I think he's got some kind of point there. maybe that would be better for the world if the U.S. cut back on some spending and NATO put in more and it was more equal. I actually don't think that's that crazy, but that's just not what's happening. By the way, if you're a European nation and you're trying to save some money so that you can spend more on the military, one thing you might consider is Rocket Money. The money app that works for you. Maybe Germany has a lot of subscriptions they need to cancel. Okay? Maybe they're still paying for a gym membership they don't use. Maybe France has 2 copies of Netflix. Or Disney Plus they're not using, okay? You can cancel that. You can actually put your bank account information in, see every reoccurring charge that you're getting, and one-click cancel it right from the app. Additionally, saving up for tanks and planes and guns is hard work. Perhaps you'd consider a budgeting app. Rocket Money has an incredible budgeting feature that lets you track your monthly income and your spending and save up for certain key things, like I'm doing for an upcoming trip to China. Thank you again, Rocket Money, for sponsoring Big A Clips. It's much appreciated. They've been a long-time supporter of my content. I've been using Rocket Money since it was called Truebill. I've used it for a long time. It's very helpful. I'd like you to check it out. However, back to the content. The reason Europe is interested in this in the first place is because of the threat of Russia, because Putin is watching. The idea that Europe needs to be more militarized is because they don't want to have Putin on their border as a military threat. And so I wanted to follow up on that because I've become more and more interested in the economic side of the Russia-Ukraine war. I've been reading a lot about it, and I want to give a little update on something I thought went under the radar. Because obviously we talked about Ukraine's drone attacks. This is from today. They're still continuing. Ukraine is making some amazing things happen with drones. But what we've watched so far and what we've covered is mostly talked about the military aspects, battles that have been won or lost, drone strikes that have happened, bombing that has happened. And the economic side hasn't been discussed so much. There's few people in Putin's Russia that can openly criticize him. Almost none. If you don't want to fall out of a window, you cannot say something bad about Putin or the way he's running the country or anything. There's very few. However, there's at least one person who still has the capability to stand up and say truth to power. And it's this woman. Sorry, I'm misclicking. Wait. Elvira Nabulina, okay? She's Russia's Jerome Powell. Okay? She is the head of Russia's central bank, and she has to be honest about certain things in the economy. He can't afford to lose his central banker, because when you have a leader punish a central banker, it reduces your ability to borrow money. The market is less likely to loan you money. So the central banker has some authority. It's why Trump can't fire Jerome Powell. He has to wait out his full term. The central bankers have a certain level of safety that comes from the fact that the leader will be hurt economically if they punish them. Okay? Elvira Nabulina had a press conference recently where she said stuff that might really shock you, that anyone could say it in Russia. She basically openly went through the numbers and said the war-fueled economy of Russia is running on empty. She said this has finally caught up to us and it's bad. She basically said that the party is over. As fun as a Russian party is, it's finally over. And this is only a few days ago. And she went in quite specific detail, and I want to go through some of it right now, without being too boring. Basically, when the war started in 2021, Russia had built up a pretty healthy national wealth fund. They had a lot of money in a lot of different currencies saved up to help spend and prop up the economy. That has drained to like a third of what it was. After 4 years, it's down to almost nothing. And because of all the sanctions and being cut out of the SWIFT payment systems, Russia is now holding instead of like they used to have euro, USD, gold, everything. Now they only have Chinese yuan. They have like $150 billion worth of Chinese yuan, and that's it. That's all they have in their foreign reserves. So much less than they had before. Okay, they're down significantly. Additionally, their gold reserves, which were really massive when the war started, have now been completely burned through. They had 400 tons of gold at the beginning of the war. They're down to 140. Now, she says openly, at the pace we're going, this will be depleted in 1 year and will be empty. We'll have nothing. Okay? So it's worth noting that they're getting to the end of the rope on the ability to sort of just spend, and borrow to support a war effort that is not growing the economy. Additionally, this guy, the economy minister of Russia, came out and said another open, uncomfortable fact. He said straight up, our country's on the brink of recession. He said, this worked fine for a few years, but the lag effects have now caught up with us. We are now in serious trouble. Putin, of course, insists everything's fine. But his own officials, and these people that would never dare contradict him, are saying otherwise. Like everyone other than Putin is saying like, hey, we have a serious problem here. And it just makes rational sense, right? I'm not saying Ukraine's economy is good at all either. They're both in a bad spot. But Russia's ability to continually finance these debts and continually borrow is really running low as the war drags on. And there's a question that comes up at this point, which is like, why? Like, what is Putin still fighting for? The most he's going to get, it seems at this point, is like a few more kilometers or a better deal at the peace table. But at every day this goes on, extreme cost to the economy. The time to be able to still run this war with no trade-offs is over. That was able for the first year, year and a half. Now the trade-offs are getting more and more drastic. So what they'll have to do to keep the war going is either, mandate all Russian banks start buying Russian war bonds, or if there's enough patriotism, they can get Russian citizens to buy them. But that is going to be a lot harder sell. Ukrainian citizens are buying war bonds. This is just loaning your money to the government for the war. Ukrainian citizens have some patriotism for this. So they are loaning their money to the government to buy war bonds. But Russia hasn't done this yet. And it seems unlikely they'll be able to at the scale that's happening here. So I just want to point out that, like, economically, I know people have said similar things before, but it really is seeming like the time for the pressure to be on Russia to end this war is coming due. It's happening now in a way that wasn't before. In fact, I'll fully admit, people said this would be bad for Russia's economy, but in the first year, it really wasn't. In the first year, the military spending actually spurred Russia's economy and it was doing well. It's only now that the lag effects are catching up and it's becoming a real problem. So as we find ourselves in that point, I'm hopeful that maybe we can get towards a real ceasefire, because this is not something that is sustainable from Russia's side. You can, by the way, if you're interested, buy Ukrainian war bonds. And you can get a huge return, but just to be clear, there's a good chance they don't pay them back. You can get like 25% return on Ukrainian war bonds, but it's very risky. If they lose the war, you don't get paid back at all. And if they do win, they might default. It's a bit of a gamble. So I don't know. Ukrainian citizens are doing it, but you might not be able to. So that's where we find ourselves. I just want you to understand that, like, the age-old relationship between the United States and Europe and their stance towards Russia is changing very dramatically, very quickly because of Trump's actions. And the way it's going to play out, I think, is not what any of them expect. By the way, one more thing. From Putin's POV, he kind of hoped that, I think, NATO would fall apart. It's not. NATO is, if anything, I guess, stronger than ever. They're all spending more money than ever. NATO is probably at its max strength since 92, and he is dealing with no real gains in Ukraine and a failing economy. So it's not working out the way he hoped either. That's an update. Just wanted you guys to know, wanted you guys to talk about it. I think it's very interesting. I'm going to keep following up on it. It's something I've been fascinated with lately. But I just wanted to give you an update on why the daddy's home stuff kind of meant more than just a simple joke or a misspeak. Cool. Thanks for watching. Little update. Are Russia's nuke even still functional? Yeah, of course, dude. Russia's got the most nukes in the world. You think none of them are functional? He looks sad in that picture. I mean, listen, many people have predicted Putin's trouble in the past and been wrong. He's a wily operator, bro. He's been going for a very long time. He's one of the longest running world leaders in history. The guy's been fucking leading Russia since the 90s. But I sincerely believe, and it's just obvious, right? Like, why wouldn't it? The economy of Russia is taking a serious hit. They only have oil exports. That's their main. Without oil exports, it's so weak. Iran's cooked if Russia's cooked. Xi Jinping, Iran's savior. Russia has already stopped helping Iran really at all. I mean, they have no. Russia doesn't have extra shit to throw around. They're throwing it. They're throwing it all at Ukraine. It's just China right now. All of Iran's oil exports go to China. China is their lifeline. China is their trade partner. China is their savior. Could Russia give nukes to Iran? I mean, they could. It's not impossible, I guess. I think it's unlikely. I think that would cause problems. But the former Russian president Medvedev, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He talked about that. But he says a lot of shit on Twitter. Truthfully, I think it's very rare that any country with nukes wants any other country, even their closest ally, to have a nuke. I can't think of any examples. I can't think of any example of a country with nukes that was like trying to give someone else nukes. Russia to Cuba? Yeah, I guess. I think that was really more Russia to Russia with Cuba as a base. That wasn't like, and that was them trying to counterbalance, missiles in Turkey. It's not like U.S. wasn't giving missiles to Turkey. They were just putting them in Turkey. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Storing nukes on someone else's land has happened, but a country being like, here's how to build nukes so that you have the nuclear deterrent. I think it's very rare. Most countries wouldn't do that, even for allies. U.S. and U.K. shared development information before World War II. Yeah, this is probably true. I mean, the U.S. and U.K. was a very close alliance in World War II, and nobody really knew. The whole nuclear game theory hadn't been mapped out yet then either. So, yeah, that's very possible. But I think the incentives to giving anyone a nuke are pretty low, and no one really does it. Can Russia still sell their gas and oil effectively? Yes, they can. Everyone can. I want that to be. I think that's another theme of my content that you should understand is that if you have oil, no matter who is sanctioning you, you can sell it. This has been proven time and time again. You can always sell your oil. Someone will buy it. It's every barrel of oil that comes out of the ground gets sold. There's just no way to stop it. Russia uses, they have the Black Fleet of like unmarked tankers, but they sell. Now, the main person that buys them in these cases is China or India. And the effect of this sanction is that Russia has to sell it at a slight discount because there's only have one buyer. Like Russia goes to China and says, buy our oil. And China goes, we're the only ones buying. Give us a deal. And they get a deal. And so less money goes to Russia, more money goes to China. But the oil gets sold either way. Why not lie about having a nuke? Who's really going to check on you? I feel like everyone constantly is trying to check on you when it comes to nukes. Like the fact that every nation on earth seems to know Iran's exact nuclear enrichment at all times is a situation that people are constantly thinking about it and checking. People will know whether your threat is credible or not. I know China uses a ton of oil, but will that not decrease over time as they add more nuclear to their grid? In China's case, they're adding more of everything. Generally, as a country goes up the income and growth ladder, they just use more energy in general. They use more of everything. Like China's using more coal and more solar and more nuclear and more wind. They're using all. China's turning every lever on at the same time. And oil is for transport and plastics and chemicals and production more than just like heating and energy. And burger. Nothing more American than pouring some crude oil on your burger. That shit tastes good, bro. Europeans don't know. You ever take a fucking fresh burger and dip it in oil? Ow, get a big bite. I know that's right. It adds flavor. Some sweet Texas crude on a smash burger. Mwah, magnifique, dude. That shit's fire. That shit is so good. Thoughts on secondary sanctions on Russia? Listen, the problem with secondary sanctions is then you got to have tertiary sanctions. You can't stop oil from getting sold, bro. If you sanction China for buying Russian oil, someone else, a third, then fucking Singapore buys it and sells it to China, who then sells it to... It's just... it's a whack-a-mole game. You end up pissed off at everybody, and the oil still gets sold. Or people just lie. Or they do it in secret. Listen, the basic... I've used the example on the podcast, but I think it's worth noting. Okay? It's like a great historical example that is worth learning about. You guys know how the French and the British hate each other? You guys are aware of that, right? Yeah, it's Napoleon. I'm going to bring up Napoleon, and I'm going to get a fucking map for it. If I can just get a nice map. Here, there's a good one. Okay. This is France at its peak power. Peak of Napoleon's power. This red line is what he called the continental system. Okay? He basically said, nobody on my continent, I own Europe, can trade with England. And that way I'm going to starve England out. Okay? This is going to be great. Sorry. Actually, I don't think it's the red line. Because Russia was supposedly part of it too. So the red line is just before the Russian campaign? Yeah, I think it's just the height of his empire. This is just, yeah, okay. This is Napoleon's empire, but everyone else was part of it. And he said, you cannot trade with UK. And what happened was UK had a lot of good fucking stuff. They were industrialized, bro. They had a ton of goods to export. They made that good shit. They had all the boats and they had all the goods. People wanted it. Straight up, people wanted it. And so, anytime Napoleon wasn't looking, whoop, a ship would come in. And people would start trading. And then Napoleon would march his army over and be like, cracking down, you can't do it. And then as that's happening, whoop, trading over here, trading over here, trading over here, trading over here. You couldn't stop it, dude. This is Napoleon at the height of his power, and he couldn't stop it. So just imagine with a good as important as oil in a multipolar world globally, that the United States can really stop somebody from buying tons of Russian oil. There's just not, you can't. You can make it less profitable for them, which is what they're doing, but you can't stop it. Napoleon also lost his empire trying to keep that going. I mean, that wasn't the only reason, but yeah, Napoleon wasted a ton of fucking time, built resentment, and marched around all over trying to whack-a-mole this continental system. And it just didn't work. It didn't work. If the demand for trade is there, it'll find a way through, either through a black market or not. So it's just worth noting. It's just worth thinking about in the modern day when everyone says, like, people, especially in Twitch chat, throw around the idea of sanctions like it's just easy. Oh, just sanction them. Oh, just throw up a tariff. Even tariffs, dude. Even tariffs in our own ports are hard to do because of transshipping. Like, if we say there's a tariff on Italy, Italy sends it to fucking somewhere else. They send it to some other country, then sends it to America. And they just repackage it. The main one is China through Vietnam, but there's plenty, dude. There's plenty. There's plenty of transshipping. Even Korea. Dude, Korea came out and said, hey, listen, they narked. I talked about this, right? Have I mentioned this? Korea narked, dude. Korea went to America and said, hey, listen, we caught a ton of Chinese goods going into Korean ports, putting Korean flags on them, and then shipping it to... like, they narked. But, like, it's happening all over because that's what the incentives are. So just worth noting that, like, these type of crackdowns never really work. Or if they do, they should be pretty short term. They're not good long-term solutions. I'm an ally. Yeah. Transshipping is when you sail out to international waters and come back a different gender. That is what transshipping is. And Trump's trying to crack down on it. Covered in crude oil. Okay. Anyway, that's all I wanted to update. I don't know if there's any more world news we can talk about. That's what I've been reading. I know I've talked about the war in Ukraine off and on quite a bit, but I really feel, especially reading, I mean, the words that woman said were so stark. She wasn't like fucking around. She wasn't, I don't know. She was very clear, like, hey, we're running out of money, which is crazy because even if that was true, you think they wouldn't say it, but she had to say it. So I think there is some real pressure on Russia right now. I fully believe it now. You didn't mention that I got a new job. That's pretty good world news in my opinion. Mighty McPhee. Did I not mention that? That was like my big thing. It was like Russia, Ukraine, NATO update, daddy's home. You got a new job. Fuck. Anyway, congratulations. It was big. I got to Okay. Okay. Do you always wear a hat? I don't always wear a hat. I like wearing a hat. I sell a lot of hats. That's, by the way, worth noting that like Enron hat sales are pretty good. And every time I upload a new clip where I'm wearing the Enron hat, a few dozens of people click the link below the stream and buy the hat. So why would I, you know what I'm saying? There's like a financial incentive to do it too. How the fuck have Ukraine actually held, dog? Dude, it's actually fucking crazy, really. It really is impressive. Like, insanely impressive. The more you look into how stacked it was, it really is impressive that Ukraine is fucking held. I mean, obviously it's from outside financial support and weapons. That's a huge part of it. But some part of it is insane resilience, dude. It's crazy. And innovation. Yeah, and innovation. No, legitimately, like Ukraine is leading in drones. They're pushing forward on the world of drones because of the demands of the war. They've had to be. They've been forced to innovate. Would a war in the Middle East be a boon to Russian oil sales? Just to be super clear, yes. The answer to this is unequivocally yes. If the Strait of Hormuz got closed or there was a bigger war in the Middle East, it would spike oil prices and the amount of profit Russia would generate would be astronomical. Oil sellers make almost all their profit when the price is high. When it's low, they're barely breaking even because it takes a lot to pump oil. So that's another reason why I think it's so fucking dumb for Trump to escalate in Iran right now. But really, Israel escalated, and then Trump was in two bad choices, to be honest. But he did escalate with the bomb, and yeah, I think a ceasefire in the Middle East is very important in order to not drive up oil, which emboldens Russia. Is it Smallville time? Not even close. If you ask again, I'm going to ban you. I'm just telling you right now. I'm telling you right now, we're not even close. Okay, now that we watched that, I think we should do Get Smarter Saturdays. At least the videos I wanted to watch, and then AOE. That's what I want to do. I think we should do Get Smarter Saturdays as a classic GSS. And in fact, I have a brand new GSS website. PogChamp. It's fucking based. This is like our 5th one. But this one looks really good. Okay. All I have to do is connect my stream. And now, if you put a link to a video in the chat, it'll pop up right fucking here, and we can do Get Smarter Saturdays, which, by the way, has 3 rules. The video cannot be too long. Number 2, the video cannot be too boring. Number 3, at the end of the video, we have to have learned something. Learn something new. Is there a dark mode? Yeah, there we go. Fuck yeah. This website rules. But I think I have 2 videos that I already picked for Get Smarter Saturdays, and I'd like to watch them with you. The first one is from How Money Works, and it's called Online Piracy's Great Comeback. I like How Money Works because they left a comment on one of my videos. Actually, they put me in a video, and then when I reacted to that video, they said this. Where is it? They said Big A reacts to a video featuring Big A. This is what we call the circular economy. That was funny. Anyway, they dropped a new video about the returning rise of online piracy. That sounds interesting to me, so I want to watch it. And since it seems like when you guys talk, 99% of you are frequent pirates. It seems like maybe this will be relevant to you. This seems up your alley. Not me, smiley face.
Piracy. BitTorrent accounted for 1/3 of all internet traffic. The 2010s were the golden age of piracy.
True.
BitTorrent accounted for 1/3 of all internet traffic. LimeWire had more monthly users than Facebook, and the Pirate Bay was the only video store in town.
Fucking loved the Pirate Bay in college. It got textbooks on it. I got every movie that I couldn't afford on it. I got music on it. It's still going. Yeah, but it's just a pain in the ass now. I do pirate. I pirate because Ari set it up on our TV. I don't have Netflix or anything anymore. But I don't, on my own personal, if I want a game or I want music, I don't pirate. I just pay. I pay for Spotify. I pay for Steam games. It's just piracy's not convenient enough. Plus, every day I think, like, how am I helping a CEO's bottom line? And if I don't do enough, I feel shame, you know? I feel like so sometimes if I do pirate a show, I'll just mail a check to, like, Universal Studios CEO or something. Just so he feels better.
Where you were sure to find what you were looking for.
Actually, I'll tell you what I fucking pirate. Wait, I'm actually going to crash out. I pirate the NBA because the fucking dickheads of the NBA haven't figured out the basic truth that you have to make it at least somewhat easy to watch your product. I'll pay. I'll even fucking pay. But you make it so dog shit difficult and confusing and have so many loopholes and rules that I have to go to fucking Stream East because I can just click and watch it. So annoying. Figure it out. My God.
Hypothetically, of course. The world was slowly switching from physical to digital media, and even people who weren't particularly tech-savvy realized that digital goods could be replaced endlessly with practically zero marginal cost. At its peak, 95% of all music downloads were pirated because it had become cheaper and, above all else, an easier way to fill up large digital libraries that were being made possible by cheap digital storage. But then, it just...
Bro, getting your first iPod and filling that shit up with pirated music, you'll never understand. You never understand how it felt like I was a god. I felt like I cracked the system. I felt like I had just beat the whole fucking matrix. No one could stop me. Man, that was a rush. Instead of having to ask your parents for money to buy a CD and getting songs you didn't even like, you could get all the songs you wanted on an iPod Go Anywhere and download them for free. It was insane. The only problem was, I remember, this is super unk-coded, but people would just label everything wrong. You'd be on a torrent website or you'd be on LimeWire and you'd be like, I want to download the new Eminem album. And it would be, it would be Britney Spears or something. It would just be something different. They would just always, and then I'd listen to Britney Spears. That shit was System of a Down, Legend of Zelda theme. Yeah, exactly. Or Bill Clinton. Yeah.
Stopped.
It was
Since 2012, the internet has gotten faster, storage has gotten cheaper, and people have become more comfortable.
Oh, and then the one more thing, if you remember, I'm just super reminiscing, but every illegal torrent or file would name it wrong. They would spell the band name wrong, or they would spell the song name wrong, and you'd have it all in your thing, and you'd have to go through, if you cared, you'd have to go through and like rename and yeah, it'd be like Lunkin Perk. And so if you wanted to find it, like, and you download different albums at different times. So like on your iPod, you'd be like scrolling to find Linkin Park. But if I wanted to listen to Numb, well, that's under Linkin Pork. Like I'd have 4 different Linkin Parks in my fucking iPod because they were named different from different torrents that I downloaded. It was still worth it, but it would be good.
With computers, which should have just accelerated a growth trend, but it didn't. Since 2015, peer-to-peer file sharing has collapsed in popularity, and you might think you already know why. Streaming services like Spotify and Netflix were just a better, easier, and safer way to access content. And now, as these services have become markedly worse and simultaneously more expensive, piracy is making a comeback. It seems pretty simple, right? The only problem is that's not the whole story. Realistically, these companies knew this day would come. It was just really important that they could pretend it wouldn't.
For a lot of people, they've decided it's time to cut back.
But legitimately, it might be time to cancel some subscriptions, and I'm probably gonna have to cancel some.
Some of them I'm not using, and it's just wasting money.
There's so many of these, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, I mean, it was never gonna last. The 2020 era, the early 2020, 2021, 2022, was the streaming wars, right? Every big tech company was trying to win the streaming wars. So they were offering a ton of shit at low prices. And they were burning hundreds of millions on brand new shows that didn't make their money back. Like they were doing all this prestige TV. They were throwing money at everybody. They just wanted to win the war. And so as a consumer, you got a good deal. You got a ton of stuff for a low price. And then they realized, wait a minute, we're a business. This makes no sense. We're all just lighting money on fire so that millennials can watch more TV. And they all started cutting back. And now everyone's going back to piracy because they realized that like there is no free lunch on this.
At that point, that's an adversarial relationship. I don't want to pay people to enter adversarial relationships.
We aim, as I said, for this business to be a growth business for the company with margins that our shareholders will feel good about.
So what really made piracy go away and what's really bringing it back might sound simple, but there's actually a bit more going on. First and foremost, the majority of people actually would like to acquire their media legally as long as it was easy and not ridiculously expensive.
True.
Most reasonable people understand that it costs time and money to produce a song, film a movie, or develop a video game. And the people involved in these projects do need to be compensated or else they are just not going to make them. Even people who frequent the high seas, so to speak, know this better than anybody else. A survey coming out of Australia at the peak of online piracy found that people who pirated content were actually more likely to pay for it if it was available. And a finding that really ages—
Okay, I'll say, this is one area where I would not trust the survey. People will say whatever the fuck they want. You know what I'm saying? Like I would need to see hard data on that. It could be true, but people lie about shit like that all the time. And like, I'm sure it makes a pirate feel good to be like, yeah, I would pay for it if I just knew it was going to the right, you know what I'm saying? I've been involved in some market research in my day. People lie all the fucking time. Their actions do not match their words. So you got to be careful.
Pirated content were actually more likely to pay for it if it was available. In a finding that really ages the study, online pirates were far more likely to pay for movies and music through iTunes or QuickFix. This was because people who pirated content were just more likely to consume content overall, and most of them would only make the trip to the Bay if they couldn't find what they were looking for more legitimately. So there were two things that changed after 2013. Sure, there were a few high-profile crackdowns on some of these sites, but even the regulators themselves knew they were just playing a game of whack-a-mole. One of the most downloaded files on the Pirate Bay was the Pirate Bay, a complete copy of this site with all of the addresses that could be set up by basically anybody with some basic server hardware in the event that the authorities took down the original site. But then came along the streaming sites that, thanks to faster internet speeds, could let users watch content on demand without granting them direct access to digital files which could then be copied and shared illegally. The big thing was that these options were just so easy compared to piracy, and so cheap compared to buying songs or movies one by one that it just didn't really make sense to bother with anything else. Nowadays, that's clearly changed. There are dozens of streaming...
I mean, people remember early Netflix, before the rest of Hollywood figured out they were getting ripped off. Netflix had fucking everything and it cost nothing. Netflix had every show and was dog shit cheap. It is because no one understood. Like, Hollywood didn't fully get it. It was all on one platform. And you can get DVD sent to you too if you wanted that. True. I was talking about a little bit less than that early Netflix, but yes.
Services that are each getting more and more expensive every year. The movies and shows that you watch are being split up over different providers. The services themselves are getting worse by introducing ads and pushing less relevant content. And on top of all of that, it's just not that easy anymore. Even individual TV shows have certain seasons split up over different streaming services, and the first step in sitting down to watch a movie these days is to Google what streaming service has the 1984 release of Gremlins, and if you're unlucky, what streaming service plus what VPN combo will get you the movie you want to watch.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
If you're already going through all that effort, it gets really tempting to just replace streaming services with your port of choice, because in most cases, it will just be easier. So yeah, streaming services were cheap and easy, which
yeah, it's easier and sometimes higher quality, and sometimes they'll like do the work of, I don't know, getting the subs for you, or you know, I don't know. It's like piracy often can be a better product, which is crazy.
The need for piracy. But then they slowly became expensive. And
Disney Plus is locked 720p. I mean, that shit's insane. Plus just having to stream it. Like, for some people, if you don't have great internet, pirating is actually better because you get the full downloaded high quality movie. You have to wait a little longer, but you get it and then you can watch it high quality instead of having to stream it. And then it's like choppy sloppy.
Terrible, which brought it back. Pretty straightforward, right? Wrong. It's easy to write this whole thing off as just dumb companies being needlessly greedy to their own peril. And while that's definitely part of the problem, there is a lot more to it than that. Music streaming by comparison is decent. There are multiple services, but almost all of them have almost all of the music that you would possibly be looking for.
Yeah.
As a result, nobody really bothers to pirate songs anymore, which is particularly impressive when you remember that just 15...
Any of you still pirate songs? I certainly do not. Spotify has got me covered. I do not pirate songs. And that was it was the main thing I used to pirate. But it just feels like a waste of time. I feel like even if you're a fuck Spotify, I'm not going to pay for it person, you probably just watch the song you want on YouTube and have a small music taste. Or you make a YouTube playlist. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like I can't imagine people are straight up pirating. I'm a YouTube playlist person? Yeah. Yeah. The problem with YouTube playlists, though, is you get ads, right? So, like, you're in the middle of your song and it just fucking... I guess that's just what free version of Pandora was and everything, but that shit's too annoying. Ad block? Everyone seems to think... maybe you guys, it works for you. Ad blocks for me on YouTube always seem to work for a short period of time, and then YouTube gets around it. Maybe I'm crazy. Is that Firefox shit? Okay. What about on your phone though and stuff? Like
years ago, 95% of music was
like I don't listen to music. Well, I listen to Spotify on both, but if I listen to music on my phone, I feel like it plays the ad. Revanced? What's revanced? Revanced. Revanced? This is like what is this? It's like a YouTube. Dude, I'm reading a guide to installing Revanced and it says, I have attention span issues. Here's how to install Revanced for people like me. This is like just Zoomer piracy shit. This is that's funny.
Being downloaded illegally. Artists have not been thrilled about the lower revenue they have got from streaming versus physical album sales, but most of them still go along with it because even a small share of something is better than most of their music being accessed for free. This raises a potentially unpopular idea, that it might not be streaming that's broken, it might be the movie industry that's broken. The golden age of streaming was never going to last because it was never meant to last. So it's time to learn how money works to find out why piracy is really making a comeback. This video was made possible by iScanner. I was sorting through some old receipts for tax season, trying to remember which ones I still needed to file. And of course, one of the important ones had coffee stains all over it. The text was barely
coffee. I'm in. Consider me sold. I'm buying iScanner right now.
And make your paperwork just a little less painful. Netflix is the most dominant movie and TV streaming service in the world. It has over 300 million paying subscribers, and unlike a lot of its competitors, it's actually profitable. But from its very first days of online streaming, they knew they would eventually lose people back to piracy. They just really didn't care. And to see why, I'm sorry, but you are going to have to look at some financials. Last year, it made $8.7 billion in net income after taxes, which is extremely impressive. But it still makes it hard to justify the valuation of more than $500 billion. At that rate, shareholders would need 57 years for their investment to pay off, which is not a reason.
We don't care about valuations, Unk. It's 2025. Okay? I own Netflix and Tesla and Palantir. Okay? I just like the stock when it goes up. I don't care about valuations. I don't care about the math if I can get my money back. I just want to buy green line up. It only goes up. The vibes are good, and you're harshing the fucking vibe. Companies don't make money anymore. That's a fucking old idea. Okay? They do something better than that. They make the stock go up. They don't need to be profitable. Because I'll always find somebody else willing to pay me more for this stock. Okay? It doesn't matter if the company's going to make profits that go back to me as the owner. All I know is I can sell it to someone else who will buy it for more, always and forever.
Bet for a company in an industry that has only been dominant for a decade. 57 years ago, watching a movie looked like this. And in another 57 years from now, it's highly unlikely that we will still be watching movies through the current selection of streaming services. Now, most investors in this company aren't dumb. They know that Netflix can't make their money back with its current.
I prefer the Isaac Newton trading strategy. Isn't the Isaac Newton trading strategy to buy a stock, make some money, sell it, feel good about yourself, then it keeps going up, you get FOMO, buy in with your entire net worth, it crashes, you're broke forever. That's a fucking dope strat. That's my goat, Isaac Newton.
Structure. Investors in we will stay aren't dumb. They know that selection of streaming services. Now, most investors in this company aren't dumb. They know that Netflix can't make their money back with its current structure. What they are banking on is being able to offer a cheaper service that they can charge more for in order to fatten up those margins.
Let's not talk about my margins, by the way. Being nice and fat. That's a nice shirt. Do they make it from End?
Anyway, cutting content, raising prices, and pushing strange features like mobile games within the app are not some surprise new rollout. They are part of a development plan that the company knew it would have to implement since it started offering online streaming. It would just be a lot better if they could do it without competition. Now, on the expenses side, there is some good news. As technology improves, network infrastructure has become cheaper for the same capacity, which means the actual cost to stream videos to users is getting better every year. Netflix's cost of revenue adjusted for inflation has actually been stable since 2022, despite adding almost 100 million new users in that time. Included in those costs are the aforementioned servers and network infrastructure, but it also includes the cost to license and produce their own movies, TV shows, and games. Another big reason their costs have been improving is because they just aren't licensing as much content as they used to, and that's for two reasons. The first was a business decision to cut down on a cost, especially for content that wasn't drawing in new users. The second reason is simply because
Netflix has gotten way, almost ruthlessly data dependent on canceling shows, cutting shows, and letting shows go. If people aren't watching it, or they're the type of watchers that only come in, watch one thing, and leave, they just let the show go, or they cancel it after one season, or they're very algorithm pilled. Now, I think there's an argument to be made that long term that reduces people's trust and brand value of the name. If every time they make a show you like, they cancel it instantly. But it has worked for them. They're the only streaming service that's profitable. They're the only one. So they're doing something right. But their data shows that after 2 seasons, a show does not bring in new users. So House Season 1, okay, people are watching. House Season 2, people are watching. House Season 3, it's only House fans now. There's nobody new is checking it out in Season 3. So they usually just cancel it. They have almost no shows make it past 2 seasons. Which is, what about Game of Thrones? Again, a smash mega hit like Stranger Things or Game of Thrones, they have let that go. Game of Thrones is not them, but I mean Stranger Things. But, for the average show, first 2 seasons is all that matters, as they've been canceling it. Meanwhile, Smallville with fucking 10. True. I mean, there's definitely examples of long-running shows that have been great successes. I think Netflix is trying to play the odds and thinking it just won't work out, so they'll just cut it. But that might backfire on them. But it's working for now.
Can't get their hands on as many titles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, also worth mentioning, someone made a great point. A huge part of that is the longer a show goes, the more they have to pay residuals. I think there's a specific thing about it might be 3+ seasons. I know there's something after 10, but it's 100 eps. It's 100 exactly. It's 100 eps. That's okay. Perfect. I knew that. Yeah. Okay. 100 eps. After a certain number of episodes, they have to pay a higher percentage of residuals to the writers, actors, directors, everyone, and so they just cut it off first. They cut it off early.
Titles anymore, because independent studios have made their own streaming services and want to keep their biggest IPs exclusive, so they can force users to either switch to their platform or shell out for 2 or more streaming services. Netflix is slowly producing its own titles, but that hasn't caught up to the content they are losing from licensing. So then why does this mean that Netflix doesn't care about piracy? Well, publicly they say they do, of course, but piracy is going to hurt their competition a lot more than it's going to hurt them. If people can't find a movie or show on Netflix and then give up and pirate it, that didn't really cost Netflix any money, because the vast majority of content out there wasn't theirs to lose, and they most likely didn't spend the money producing it. A 2023 paper in the Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization titled Pirate and Chill found that when movies moved off Netflix to another platform, piracy of that content increased by more than 20%. Now, first and foremost,
we said this a long time ago when we were doing Marketing Mondays about the streaming wars. But if you look at consumer behavior, generally, and it could be different now, but at the time this is what it was. People treated Netflix like a tax, like a bill. I have to pay the water, the heating, and the Netflix. It was universal. You just have to do it. And they treated everything else like luxury. So for HBO, they would buy HBO, but only to watch the show they wanted, then they would cancel it. They would binge one show on Disney Plus, then cancel it, or Hulu and cancel it. But Netflix was a mainstay. That was just the baseline. And so you know, what he's saying here really ties into that, where it's like, I think many people have one streaming service, it's Netflix, and if it's not on that, they pirate it.
An amazing name for a professional journal article. But apart from that, it showed why Netflix hasn't been too concerned with online piracy. In a now infamous quote from the company's chief content officer, they said that in order for Netflix to be successful, we need to become movie studios faster than movie studios can become us. Piracy that disproportionately hurt legacy movie studios and their libraries of content was not something that Netflix would encourage. But behind closed doors, they certainly weren't too sad it was happening. Another way to think about this is that obviously Amazon isn't encouraging shoplifting, but it's a problem that hurts their competition far more than it hurts them. Piracy has also been a handy little tool throughout the company's history.
You're saying Jeff Bezos is the guy looting. He puts on a ski mask and starts looting in order to make retail stores seem unsafe so that we'll all buy on Amazon. That's fucked up, Jeff. That is fucked up to have that much money and still do that. How else do you afford that wedding? He's a reverse Batman. Jeff Bezos is the billionaire who makes the city worse so he can make more money. That's hype. That's hype. He's Namtab.
Back in 2013, it admitted to using data from online piracy sites to find out what was popular and therefore what was worth licensing. Okay, so Netflix doesn't care about the rise of piracy. But what about the actual Hollywood studios?
Hollyweird, I call it.
They obviously do, and they crack down on IP theft with furious anger. But they are in a difficult situation. They could send piracy back to the dark ages by reconcentrating their content onto a single easy platform. But at the moment, that would probably be Netflix, which a company like Disney would obviously not be willing to go along with after investing so much in their own service.
Right.
If they keep competing though, they are just going to make the experience worse for everybody and probably lose more ground to the high seas. Now, for these companies, this whole fight could not be happening at a worse time. There is a reason why music studios were able to play nice and make their content available just about anywhere while movie studios were fighting to the death. Music is simply much cheaper to produce, and there are far more sources of alternative revenue beyond just directly selling a song or an album. Artists don't make as much from streaming as they would from a physical album sale, but they can make it up in tours, merchandising, and other licensing deals.
Right.
On the flip side, movies have largely been getting more expensive to produce, while cinema attendance has never fully recovered from its dip during COVID. Ironically, one of the biggest theater releases of the past 5 years was actually for a music studio with the cinema release of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. In the past, poor box offices wouldn't matter as much, because mid-budget movies could make a lot of their money back through DVD sales. But obviously, that's not really a thing anymore. So studios have put even more effort into pushing their streaming services to eventually make back the difference. It's a bold strategy, and there are hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap at stake. So executives really want to pretend that eventually it'll work out. But if it doesn't, there are some lessons to—
Dude, that is the statement of so many industries right now. We're losing hundreds of billions of dollars, but it'll eventually work out. What if it fucking doesn't, bro? What if it doesn't? So much is propped up on like it'll work out. Well, this will make sense. We're not crazy. Well, I guess what if it does?
We learned from the music industry, which didn't beat piracy. It just made it unnecessary. The first is that movies have simply become too expensive for the current market.
What if it doesn't? I get paid $300K a year every CEO. Bro, you're talking to some broke CEOs. It's almost sweet that you said that. Like, it makes me think highly of you as a person, that you thought, what's the craziest thing these greedy CEOs could be making? That's awesome. I would be your friend off that comment. I think that was really nice of you to say. No, it's way more, bro. It's way fun. Look at fucking what am I thinking? The Warner Bros. Discovery guy. Wow, why am I blanking on his name? I've been blanking on names lately. Zaslav, David Zaslav. I'm not blanking on his name. Yeah, Zaslav makes like 50 fucking million a year. I think he made more on the year they acquired. Zaslav pay package. 51 million. Yeah, I was right. But I think he made like 200 million. that 1 year when they did the acquisition. Anyway, just absurd amount of money. Absurd amount of money. Bobby Kotick walked away with $400 million at the buyout. Yeah, that's right. $400 million.
Studios have recognized that people are only going to the movies for special occasion releases these days because it's expensive, the theater experience isn't that good anymore, and people can just wait a month and watch it for free on one of the streaming services that they were already paying for. Instead of making the whole thing cheaper and putting less of their eggs in a single basket, they have doubled down on producing mega blockbusters. Of the 20 most expensive movies ever made, 19 of them came out in the last 10 years after streaming was already mainstream. These figures also only count the...
Is that just for inflation, though? Because that would just make sense normally if it's not just for inflation, because money is less valuable. I'd have to check that.
Came out in the last 10 years after streaming was already mainstream. These figures also only count the production budget, not the marketing budget. And on the revenue side, the box office doesn't include the share paid out to movie theaters. With even extremely generous estimates of those arrangements, only about half of these releases made their money back. And some in particular, like the Marvel's Snow White, Dial of Destiny, and the latest Mission Impossible movie, are shaping up to be catastrophic losses. So far...
Damn, is the next one, is this a flop? I told you this movie sucked. I love Mission Impossible, but this last movie sucked. I'm kind of sad it's a flop ski, but... The one I was talking about recently was Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is gonna come in at a net loss after all that, after all the hype and the good reviews and everything. It's not gonna make its money back, which is like they're gotta have some tough meetings over at Marvel HQ. The juice is out. There's no juice. F1's trying to make money. Wouldn't surprise me if F1 made money. It's a dad movie. They go to movies.
Studios have been able to justify these flagship productions to their investors by talking about their IP value, which can later be extracted by bringing in customers to their streaming platforms. But that isn't really happening. Customers who join because they want to watch a single movie didn't tend to stay subscribed for very long compared to those who enjoy a deeper library of mid-budget movies or TV shows. I don't know about you, but I tend to take my subscription to whatever streaming service is hosting The Office this month. These huge productions also put more strain on the business as these losses have to be made up somewhere, and that is more often than not increased prices, more ads, and worse overall service. Now, I would forgive you for not feeling too sorry for Hollywood studio executives, but they are really in a no-win situation here. The harder they push back against the changing media landscape, the harder they push people towards the high seas.
Right.
So anyway, now might be a good time to shamelessly plug that these videos are being made available ad-free on Spotify. So if you would prefer to listen in or watch it over there, I have left a link in the...
I mean, yeah, I think if Netflix doesn't want to go along with it, the only thing... Well, the problem is Amazon wouldn't go along with it either, because Amazon doesn't care. And Apple doesn't really care about making money. Like, Apple TV is just a little side project to make Apple more valuable. They don't care if they lose money on it. And Amazon Prime's the same way. Prime Video. But ideally, every company other than Netflix would team up to create one subscription, a Spotify-like thing. And they would just split based on contribution to production. But we're definitely entering into the mergers phase of the streaming war because they're going to start burning out. They're going to start... They need to consolidate. Like, Paramount Plus cannot last. Isn't that Hulu? Yeah, I mean, Hulu was that in the early days of Netflix. Was all the studios trying to make something to compete. But then it ended up just being a Disney thing. Like, Disney owns it. And I think like Paramount and Peacock and Disney, every Hollywood thing has got to go on one service to try and counterbalance Netflix if they really want a chance. HBO. Disney can survive. Disney can survive, of course. But Disney Plus, they spent a fuck ton of money on it, and it's not really, it doesn't have the margin they thought it would. It's still a loser. And like they've lost all the money they used to make from movies and TV. And their big cinema money is falling off because Marvel's isn't making the money they used to.
The description. And if you think it's just streaming services that have been getting so bad, go and watch this video next to find out why making junk makes so much money.
Hey, good video. Thanks again, How Money Works. I really enjoyed it. That was a good video. I think people will continue to pirate. is my takeaway. It feels like until they get a Spotify type system for movies, people are going to continue to pirate. Okay, wait, I have one more video and then I will take one from chat. The next video is called How History's First Finance Bro Ruined a Nation. For my hoser. That sounds really funny to me. Like, who's the first Wall Street's Bets guy, and how did they ruin a nation? That sounds fucking interesting. I like history. I like finance. I like making fun of finance bros. This is all a W. So let's watch this.
Story of a man who escaped certain death. This is the story of a man who escaped certain death, took nearly total control of a foreign economy, became the richest man the world had ever seen to that point, and created one of history's largest financial bubbles, only to have it all crash down, dying a gambler who never accepted his failure. This is how John Law engineered, then gambled away the French economy.
Is this the Louisiana stuff? You don't have to spoil it for me, but I'm pretty sure this is the guy who like lies about. I don't want to spoil it, but he lies about how profitable and great the land in Louisiana is going to be, and sells $1 gazillion worth of it, and then it's it's a fucking bubble. It's a total lie. Pre-lived. Well, I bought some. Back in the day, John Law was like telling me all this cool shit about Louisiana, and I was like, fuck it, dude. I don't want to be left behind. I got FOMO, so I threw all my money in, and then fucking here I have to stream now. Here I am a couple centuries later at the fucking stream.
Was born in 1671 to a fairly well-off family in Edinburgh. His father was a goldsmith, and a good one too, gaining enough goodwill to become the title holder to Lauriston Castle. In the late 1600s, goldsmiths were the banks of Great Britain.
That's hype.
A widespread coin shortage across the continent forced Europeans to conserve the shrinking gold they had. Goldsmiths, being well-trusted handlers of it, would issue out promises to pay, basically IOUs of gold, which were used to settle debt in their communities.
How about that?
If you wanted to send someone money, you could just write a letter to the goldsmith and he would transfer it for you. This environment is where John Law grew up and worked for his father. Young John was naturally gifted at math and with numbers, but his real passion, his real passion was at the casino. John loved gambling.
This guy rules. This guy rules, dude. He likes gold. He likes money. He likes gambling. Man after my own heart.
Gambling and all things debauchery. He loved drinking. He was a favorite with women, and he was a regular at gaming houses throughout his life.
Sheesh!
His friends called him Beau, which I'm told by my associate is like the early modern equivalent of a situationship king.
Okay, all right, playa.
When his father died, he left Scotland, going to the London high life, trying to get rich through dumb, quick schemes.
Yeah, who hasn't been there?
Obviously, this didn't work. He actually ended up gambling away his inheritance money and mortgaged his family's.
And this is the first, last, and only time in history that gambling did not work. So don't take the wrong lesson from this. If you watch this, you'll be like, oh, I'm scared of gambling. This is it's the exception that proves the rule. Everybody else in history has made easy, guaranteed, reliable money from it. John Law's story is so interesting because he didn't. He's like the one guy to lose.
The state to pay for it. Besides that, John was involved in the usual drama that a beau like him would face. He was fighting with Bo Wilson over something, most likely a girl, and the two would regularly engage each other. Eventually, it ended in a duel between them, when John was 23, he was arrested for the murder of Edward Wilson.
Oh shit!
John Law was sentenced to be hanged. He did murder somebody in broad daylight after all, but I don't know. I thought the point of a duel was to kill somebody legally. His high-ranking friends begged for a royal pardon, though, and his charge was reduced. But then, while he was waiting in prison, in a story nobody knows the full details of, John Law escaped and found his way on a ship to Europe.
What? Rich kid kills a guy in a duel, then escapes prison? I did not know that. Paid off a guard with what money, dude? He was broke. He gambled it all away. He's got quite a life, and it's only 2 minutes into this video.
His life for the next 21 years consisted of popping out in a new European city, gambling, trading, and courting noble friends. Cayenne, Amsterdam, Venice, Genoa, Turin, Budapest, back to Edinburgh at one point. Paris, he went all over. In each city, he would study their banking systems, practically dedicating his life to thinking and writing about money. He was a goldsmith's son, after all. He thought about the best ways to store money, to exchange currencies for others, the role interest plays in society, and most importantly, how to improve the real economy using fake money.
Okay.
And in his famous essay on a land bank, he laid out his ideas. Instead of backing money by gold or silver, he thought it should be backed by a state's land so that it was more stable.
Okay, this is how I know we've all gotten dumber. Because, like, a guy like this, gambler, womanizer, traveler, player, nowadays, can you imagine someone nowadays writing a book? They can write a tweet, maybe. But can you imagine this person? Maybe they have a podcast. I'm fucking guilty. They're not going to write they're not going to sit down and write an essay on a land bank. That's a lost art.
He laid out his ideas. Instead of backing money by gold.
This is the 1700s version of a podcast. Anyway, it is just someone fucking... Someone's got to hear me speak. Someone's got to hear my ideas.
Or silver, he thought it should be backed by a state's land so that it was more stable, more predictable, and could be issued out in higher quantities. The Dutch didn't get rich because of their hard-working nature, as many Europeans thought at the time, but because of their abundant money supply and cheap credit, letting them finance the world's largest corporation. His next famous work was Money and Trade Considered, an actual proposal to the Scottish Parliament to set up a land bank. Scotland faced so many hardships, he wrote. The soil is hard to farm, the winters are harsh, and the people of the island know no manufactures. If land-backed securities were used...
Say the Scots are lazy? My people are lazy. They can't build shit. They're just not good.
Island know no manufacturers. If land-backed securities were used to back a currency, farming and factories would take off, and once financed, a land bank would profit from the employment of previously wasted resources. Although this was debated in the Scottish Parliament, it was ultimately rejected.
Yikes.
So he went back to Europe, amassing a small fortune through setting up his own gaming houses, about £20,000. Rumors would spread of a rich banker who...
Bro made £5 million?
About £20,000.
Making his own casinos?
Rumors would spread of a rich banker who set up shop in the city, in some cases finding him influential friends like the Dukes of France, in some others getting him kicked out of the city. He never stopped proposing his land bank, though, even if it wasn't for his home country. He tried to present it to the King of France, Louis XIV, but that guy must have said something like, A bank of land? What about my gold? I'm the Sun King. I own it, and you're a Protestant, so you can leave now. He also
It's a direct quote, actually. That's exactly what he said.
Also presented it to the Duke of Savoy, who liked the idea but thought it was too risky for such a small kingdom to try.
Take a risk!
The Duke did recommend John try again in France, though, because the French are always open to new ideas. Luckily for John Law, Louis XIV, no matter how powerful he was not powerful enough to stop gangrene, and he was now dead in 1715.
Yikes.
His son, the new King of France, was 5 years old,
Okay.
so power fell upon a regency council, headed by Philippe II, the Duke of Orleans. Everybody's favorite part of running a government is how you don't have to worry about a budget. It'll just balance itself, you know? But in times of political instability like
that is
this
so
one,
fucking true.
sometimes you really do need to crunch the numbers and get the budget in order.
Nah.
And oh man, did Louis XIV really screw up France's balance sheet. During his 72-year-long reign, royal authority had replaced a balance of power between estates and provinces. He appointed his own loyalists into local city councils, curtailed royal courts, instituted Protestant discrimination, and fought a series of wars to bring glory to France.
Okay.
They expanded France's territories, yes, but also its debt.
Oh, it costs a little money.
Meanwhile, he appointed Jean-Baptiste Colbert as his finance minister, best known as the father of mercantilism, an idea that the amount of gold a nation has is the source of its strength. So writing this debt, as long as it didn't touch the gold supply, was no big deal, right?
No biggie.
Besides that, Louis had considerably expanded civil service and the army, set up North American colonies, and built a grand palace for himself.
Sure, what about when they call in the debt and want the gold? I said this to Louis, he tried to have me fucking guillotine, so I'm just asking you guys, maybe if you know.
At Versailles. So by the start of the Regency, France was in 3 billion livres of debt, about the size of its yearly economic output. Farms laid idle, factories shut down.
So you're saying basically 100% debt to GDP. So what you're saying is America right now has a worse debt situation than France after Louis XIV spent like fucking crazy for 70 years. Just checking.
Bankruptcies were rife and prices were falling. The crown's yearly revenue was 145 million livres, while their expenses were 142 million, meaning at this pace, it would take 1,000 years to pay the debt off. Something big had to be done.
All right.
What about that law guy who came to Paris like 5 years ago? Isn't he a financial wizard or something? Can't he do anything about it? John Law had been the Duke of Orleans' drinking buddy for a couple of years now, and throughout the time, he was always chatting about his financial ideas. The Duke was already kind of convinced of the land bank idea, although he didn't fully understand it. But now that he basically ruled France, John got a powerful ally.
I see.
He proposed it to the council, saying...
So he's just desperate. He's just a dude in a bad situation that's desperate that goes to his drunk friend and is like, whoa, whatever. What do you got? You said you could do this?
It would bring employment and revenue, boost agriculture, trade, and even the population size. A big, beautiful bank. That's what would fix this mess. Some on the council hated it though. The Duke of Saint-Simon called for France to default on its debt, while the Duke of Noailles was against both bankruptcy and the land bank. But eventually, besides some other reforms like punishing private tax collectors who went far over their profit limit, it was decided to let John Law set up his bank. But instead of a state bank like he wanted, it was a private bank, and it wouldn't manage royal revenues, until he could at least prove his monetary genius.
Okay.
In May 1716, La Banque Générale, the General Bank, opened its doors in Paris, gaining the trust of some when the Duke himself rode up and deposited 1 million livres of gold into it. Right now, the bank is kinda just a bank. It was well run, profitable, and conservative with its finances. It kept supplies of gold and silver but lent out notes, just slips of paper. Slips like these ones. This was going to be France's currency now. To give it some authority, the crown allowed taxes to be paid in this paper. Not bad, but besides being easier to carry, people didn't see the use of paper money. So one thing John did to entice people to take out this paper and expand the money supply like he wanted was to make them slightly more valuable than coins. All notes were exchangeable for coins, and it was exchangeable at the current time. The French crown would often devalue coins in an effort to make up some lost revenue. So if someone was holding a note and coins were suddenly devalued, the note would actually become more valuable as it could be exchanged for the same amount as before.
I see.
This grew trust in Law's bank, and over a year, notes held a 15% premium over coins. And you know what? Law's plan was kinda working. Commerce was increasing, taxes were now regularly being paid, and France looked like it was on the up. Law had also allowed billet d'état, a little note signifying that you owned a part of the government's debt, to be exchanged for his notes, and this had commanded an almost 23% premium, meaning you were sure to make money if you gave your portion of the debt to the bank. This grew the bank more than anything, and soon enough, branches sprung up all over the country.
All right, John Law, so far so good.
The bank's conservative nature and the confidence the people gave it kept its balance sheet growing. And because it now owned much of the debt, it was actually starting to be paid off. Now that there are actual results, John Law was accepted by the nobility.
You're good.
Meanwhile, a legacy of one of Louis XIV's glory farming missions was boiling up. Louis had wanted to plant the French flag overseas, just like the Spanish had, and along with Quebec, he set up a new colony in America named Louisiana in 1682. There's no way to easily put this, but Louisiana was a complete poo hole. It was a hot, humid swamp
Unlike today.
Full of disease and mosquitoes, hurricanes, and alligators. Alligators which no Frenchman should ever have to deal with. But it was for the glory of the French people and whatever, so some settlers did end up there. Although half either died or left within their first year of landing on the Gulf Coast.
This still happens to French tourists in America today. Half of them die the second they touch the coast. The other half gets sick and leave. They simply can't stomach American food and water. We have a different lifestyle here.
15 very unprofitable years, the crown ran it until the treasury was unable to finance the Department of the Marine, which oversaw the colony. In 1712, it was given to a wealthy Parisian merchant named Antoine Crozat, who got sole control over all trading and commercial enterprises there for 15 years.
That's crazy.
Including all of its farms, slaves, and mines. In exchange, he was made to send at least 2 supply ships every year to the settlers. The Western Company
That's not even much cost.
Is estimated to have lost Crozat around 1 million livres, and 10 years before his charter expired, he petitioned the Duke to release him from it.
Wait, really? It was a disaster?
I guess this is really where John Law's finance bro side comes out.
That's crazy.
He thinks he can flip this company around.
Dude, a king gives you that much land and all the stuff on it, and you can't find a way to make that even break even? That's all you have to do is send 2 ships of stuff? That feels like a skill issue, bro. That's a lot of land.
And start to make a profit.
It's Louisiana, but you're thinking of Louisiana today in America, but Louisiana was like a fucking massive area. Like, what was the Louisiana Purchase? Look at this. Yeah, it's like this, dude. Wait. It's like this. It's like, isn't it? It's all worthless. I feel like crops alone. Some of the worst parts of the U.S. Okay, don't be a hater. The economic output of that area should be able to support 2 ships plus profit.
Yes, John Law becomes the new proprietor of Louisiana, gaining a commercial monopoly over the couple hundred settlers who actually stayed there.
I see.
Most French people...
Okay, this is like at the very beginning when it's fucking super small. If it's a couple hundred people, yeah, it'd be hard to make money. I see.
Didn't know much about America, but they assumed that's where their gold and silver came from, since the Spanish found American silver and they were rich. Mississippi was like a city of gold, or a land of gold, or a mine of gold, or something. It didn't really matter. The people just assumed it had some gold. During his time running the company, Law played this up, showing off gold ingots, supposedly from Louisiana, giving away maps of America, a beautiful continent full of species, and even organizing parades of miners who were being sent off to America. Most didn't go. It's even during John Law's rule of Louisiana when the official capital was set up, named after his friend, the Duke of Orleans.
Wow.
To finance his purchase of the company.
I did not know that's where New Orleans came from. It was from his friend. How crazy is that? Cinema. Yeah, I mean, I've read about this, the Pacific Louisiana part. It was in that book I have on financial bubbles. Devil take the hindmost. But I didn't know all these supporting details around it. It's pretty interesting.
He issued 200,000 shares, each worth 500 livres, that may be payable in those billets d'état at their nominal value. At the time Law got this company, August 1717, these billets were worth about 160 livres. 160 livres to buy something worth 500 livres, and a slice in the New World. It didn't take a genius to figure out that if you held government debt, you could make some easy money from this. Though, if they wanted to replace their lost interest revenue...
And it's worth noting that easy money is always good money, always successful money, and always going to last. The easier, the better.
They would hope for the stock to appreciate. Soon enough, the Mississippi Company was fully capitalized and took on more of the government's debt. In September 1718, Law also bought the monopoly rights to the African tobacco trade.
Damn.
Then, the next year, he bought the Company of China and the East Indies.
Damn.
Eventually buying the companies of Senegal, Saint-Domingue, Africa, and the Cap Negre to form
Mr.
the
Worldwide over here.
Company of the East, although most people still called it the Mississippi Company. At the start of 1717, the Royal Council nationalized the General Bank, becoming the Banque Royale, with Law staying in charge. John Law owned the French Central Bank and the rights to all overseas trade, and people really started to take notice of him now.
Crazy.
Mississippi Company shares started to be exchanged by aristocrats, noblemen, the middle class,
That's so
and
much
even
power in one
servants.
person's hand.
These private exchanges wouldn't be regulated by John Law, with their price being determined by their own perceived value. Paris didn't even have a stock market, so most trading was done on the street outside the company's office, Rue Quincampoix. And as we'll see when the price...
Dude, it's so human to just fucking gamba on stocks that even when there wasn't a way to do it, people just hung out in front of the company and fucking gambled. Just fucking traded it up. That's awesome. It's so deep within us.
Started to take off, Quincampoix became the central hub of chaos and speculation. The Duke of Saint-Simon says there were crowds all day long with wild excitement, and people trusted the scheme entirely. Noblemen would turn their estates and houses into paper to speculate on the company's prospects. Servants sent by their masters would throw their life savings into the company. Foreigners flocked to Paris to buy stock for themselves. Some would even break through Law's windows and fall down his chimneys to apply for new shares. Robberies and murders were common at night, so guards had to patrol the street. Some houses along the road saw a 20 times increase in their yearly rent during the craziest years. It got so hectic that gates had to be installed on both sides of the street so that there could be some order during the trading hours. One for the nobility, the other for commoners.
Okay.
John Law wasn't done though. The Royal Bank still had to back up its deposits with gold and silver, and besides, it seems like he was transforming the bank into one backed up by a private company's shares rather than the state's land. If he wanted to see his dreams through, he would have to take over the rest of the financial system. The crown had reserved the rights to mint new coins, and since that could mess with the value of newly issued notes, John decided to buy the mint. The crown insisted he pay 50 million livres for these rights, but when you are the economy, you can find a way to make it work.
I mean, can't you just buy the mint with the 50 million livres and then print 50 million livres? I mean, you can you own the mint.
To finance his purchase, he issued 50,000 more shares at 1,000 livres each. About 300,000 people applied for these new shares, and the hype for more spots in the lucrative Mississippi Company shot the price of these shares well above 1,000, all the way to 1,800 livres.
Woo!
To make up for this new demand in notes, 250 million livres were issued. So now, Law owned France's entire money supply and trading profits. But if he wanted to reduce the national debt, he'd need to control the revenue. So John decided to buy the tax farmers. This was a 52 million livre per year payment. And
you're getting it over your head, John. You're getting it over your head, bro. It's getting too deep. This scheme is getting too big. There's going to be a problem, John.
And again, he gave out 50,000 shares, this time bumping the price up to 3,000 livres. But the purchase would pay itself off, John thought, because he would reorganize the tax collecting system to cut down on individual tax farmer profit. Though the real mission the regions...
Yeah. I know we complain a lot about like billionaires like Elon Musk having too much influence over government, but I gotta say, it's not as bad as like if Elon Musk was constantly issuing new Tesla shares to pay for buying our tax system and owning the rights to all of America's foreign trade. Like, we are in a better spot than we were. Just wait. Yeah, maybe I'll do it next.
He trusted him with was to make the debt, poof, disappear. By this point, it had already gone from 3 to 1.5 billion livres. And just looking outside his office, there were clearly people ready to buy into whatever John Law gave out. So the Royal Bank made its most consequential decision yet. It was gonna buy the rest of the government's debt. Through 3 separate stock sales, it would gobble this debt up. 3 times the available money would have been given if all applications were accepted. To buy it, in September, the bank printed 240 million livres.
Okay.
Then December, 360 million. And finally, in February, another 200 million.
Okay.
Whether or not John Law approved of this printing is up for debate, but the Duke certainly did, and at the end of the day, France was still an absolute monarchy. The government would now pay 3% yearly interest payments on the debt, directly to the company, and Law would use this to pay for any potential new ventures. This is when you could say John had finally created his land bank. So to recap this financial hocus pocus, Louis XIV had done a bunch of expensive things. To finance these things, they issued debt which many people of France had bought to collect interest from the government, and this was all backed by gold. Law comes in and starts issuing paper notes, also backed by gold, but he's willing to accept this debt in exchange for paper notes. He also buys all of France's overseas trade, exchanging shares in the company for the debt as well.
Okay.
He uses hype to raise the share price of the company to expand it, which requires him to issue more paper notes. Then, the company buys the entire debt, needing to print even more notes. The debt moved from the crown to the company, and the payout moved from interest payments to company dividends.
Okay.
You might be thinking, wait, this doesn't actually get rid of the debt, but just transfers it from those who are comfortable holding the crown's bonds to those who want to see an insane return on their shares. And I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Whatever happened, the people were excited. Over the course of 1719, the Mississippi share price went up by 20 times. Not 20%, 20
That's
times.
fucking crazy.
From 500 livres to 10,000.
That's
Almost
fucking
everybody who
crazy.
could get the shares were
We're
living
rich!
large.
Up,
Around
up to the
Paris, at
moon!
least, this new money was
What a
showing up
return!
everywhere. The middle class was now buying art pieces and crafted furniture. People started wearing silk, velvet, and golden cloth, so much so that a royal edict had to be passed to forbid liveried servants from wearing them. Watchmakers had to be imported from Switzerland to make up for all the new...
They made a law the pores couldn't look fly. That's hater energy. That is deep hater energy. Some fucking nobleman got mogged by a servant who looked fresh to death, and they had to change the fucking rules.
New demand, working class investors became little noblemen, people were wearing jewels, riding around in new carriages, and it was a little obvious people were eating better. Two terms were coined to describe the winners of this period that we still use today: nouveau riche and millionaire.
Wow.
As for John Law, who profited by far the most of this scheme, he put all of his proceeds into real estate. He bought the Palais Mazarin, 5 in the Place Vendôme, and 10 on Rue Saint-Honoré. One for
Smart
the
move.
equivalent of $350 million US.
Jesus.
All this new money was really helping the economy. As John Law had predicted, land was now employed again. Artisans and farm workers found that they had a steady stream of customers now. Customers with a lot of money that were willing to pay higher prices.
All right.
So they charged higher prices. From the start of the scheme to the time of the peak, wages around Paris had quadrupled, and similarly, the average price level for staple goods had doubled. This was the first true instability the French people felt from this virtual money system. Inflation had spread across France,
What?
reaching over 20.
Printing a bunch of money caused inflation? No, that check your math on this. No, there can't be a downside. There can't be a downside. Otherwise, why would we do it so much? It has to be fucking up. Who told? Who told him we print it?
20% a month in January. Why? The amount of livres in circulation had increased by about 1 billion throughout the year, then another 1.8 billion the following year until its peak. It's worth remembering that the Mississippi Company wasn't some financial abstraction, but an actual company dependent on the real profit it made. Louisiana had generated none. It was basically just a few hundred huts. And even with all the other trade revenue, the company's shares were trading at a price to earnings ratio of around 50. But the financial system...
That's fucking nothing. Palantir's like 300. Tesla's like 120. 50? That would be a fucking blue chip stock today. 50's Nvidia. 50's fine.
System had grown so dependent on the share prices that an office for the buying and selling of shares was set up by law in an effort to stabilize its price. The company itself would buy or sell its own shares to keep the value near or around 10,000 livres. This was directly inspired from the Dutch East India Company, whose shares Law had written had acted like money since they could be used to settle debt. When John publicly converted to Catholicism, he was allowed to become the Controller General of France, basically the Prime Minister. Not bad for an ex-convict immigrant.
Not bad.
He now officially merged the bank and the company into one entity, and John became increasingly
John, you gotta know when to stop. The scheme worked. He made a lot of money. This is a great time to retire. Retire to all your real estate, which is a real hard asset that will hold its value. You got to quit while you're ahead, bro. You got to know this is gonna go bad.
Despotic by this time.
Nah, he's on a roll.
His new goal was to eliminate the link to gold entirely. Some could see the writing on the walls that this was all bound to collapse. In one story, the Prince of Conti had allegedly become so furious after Law rejected his application for Mississippi stock that he withdrew all the gold he could from his account. It took 3 wagons to carry it off, and although the Duke mandated he pay back 2 of those wagons, it didn't take long for others to catch on. Some began smuggling gold out of the country. They would buy plates or jewelry, hiding them in manure carts to get them to Holland or England. The problem was there were 2 times as many notes for every livre of gold or silver. If everyone were to convert their notes to gold, the system was sure to collapse. By February, Law gave up on stabilizing the stock, and a royal edict was passed to accept taxes only in banknotes. The government had also banned people from holding over 500 livres in coins. In something straight out of the Soviet Union, a pamphlet was distributed around Paris railing against money hoarders and encouraging people to spy on and turn in those they knew had kept a stash. If you turned them in, you got 1/2 of the profit.
Oh, how about that?
This was crazy. One nobleman wrote that it was inconceivable a sudden revolution did not break out.
Oh, it's coming.
This measure did not guarantee stability or confidence as Law had hoped. People were distrustful of each other, their savings were wiped out at the stroke of a pen, and the excitement for these shares turned into state-mandated use of them as money. Another royal edict was passed to lock the value of the shares at 9,000 livres.
Okay.
To keep this peg...
Okay, now you're getting ridiculous. You passed a law that the share price can't go down? You know who else did this? I actually been wanting to make a video about this for a while. The Nazis did this. Dude, the story of the Nazi stock market is so fucking funny. They literally pass a law that share prices can only go up. Like it can go flat and it can go up, but it cannot go down. It's actually, I really will make a video. I gotta do it eventually. It's actually so funny. The whole economy of Nazi Germany during the war is fucking insane. There's so many insane choices they make. It's very, very funny. I think I gotta follow up. Would you not just sell anything then? You can't. It could only, it didn't cost the price of it. You couldn't do it.
Required the printing of over 1 billion more livres into circulation. This terrible unrest continued for 2 months until the council met and determined it couldn't go on any longer. The value of paper livres had to fall or the value of gold livres had to rise. They chose the former. On May 1st, 1720, it was announced the company would suddenly reduce the value of its shares from 9,000 to 5,000 livres.
Yikes!
The chaos that followed nearly broke the city. Some people had thrown their entire life savings into this company, and 44% of its value vanished in one day? There were great stampedes through the city. The royals had to hire Swiss guards to protect themselves. One day, when a crowd thought it saw John Law leaving his palace, the mob ripped his carriage to pieces.
Dude, that's wild.
There were fights between the crowds and the guards, resulting in some deaths to both sides. One economist who had speculated...
Bro, you guys better hope the Mag 7 doesn't drop 40%. We're like in the same fucking spot. I just want you guys to know we're in the same fucking spot. It was like everyone's fucking retirement's in the same fucking 7 stocks.
Against the French livre was expelled from the country for doing so. And finally, when the government allowed people to hold coins again, a rush on the royal bank resulted in 14 people being crushed to death.
Jesus.
So much coin was taken out, the kingdom had to start minting them with copper. By this point in his life, Law hadn't just lost the confidence of the people, but his favor with the nobles. The Council of Finance wouldn't listen to him, and first after stepping down as Controller General, he was appointed as a country seat governor, but after that didn't work out, the Duke permitted John Law a passport to leave the country.
Get the fuck out.
Even faster than he came in and completely reshaped the French economy, he left, leaving behind his wife and kids.
Damn,
the
bro.
company was stripped of its minting and tax collecting privileges and continued on as a shell of its former self, with share prices eventually coming back down to around...
This would be a fire Wall Street Bets post if that existed at the time. Dude, it's just like, holy fuck, I just convinced France to give me their complete control of all their money and I fucking blew it. Blew it hard. I basically ruined the whole country in like a few years. Good. Wall Street Bets, am I cooked? They all think this Louisiana Purchase thing is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. But it's not worth anything.
500 livres. 11 years after its collapse, the Mississippi Company was returned to the crown. People distrusted paper money and financial innovations for generations, and for the rest of the ancient regime, only gold and silver were used as money, while religious institutions dominated finance. The bank was officially liquidated in 1723 after extensive talks over how to deal with its liabilities and how to restructure the debt. The now 13-year-old king...
Dude, it's funny to think of that being part of France's culture and they being the ones that ended America's gold standard because they didn't trust how much America was printing money. So they demanded their repayment in gold. Like, this is relatively recently. This is like in the fucking 70s. They said, you're printing too much money for the war in Vietnam. We don't trust it. We want our money back in gold. And they sailed a warship into New York Harbor to not to fight. Obviously, France could not fight America in the 70s. They just said, hey, can we load it up with gold? And they did. And that's why we got off the gold standard.
Louis XV had been saddled with over 1 billion livres of it. But much of the debt simply vanished, as the notes it was denominated in no longer had any monetary value. Louisiana itself was lost under Louis XV's reign, and France went back to being fiscally constrained, running a government which constantly had troubles with raising revenue, a theme that would continue until the eventual French Revolution.
Oops.
John Law left in late 1720. First to Brussels, then England, and then to Venice. He left behind almost all of his wealth as property around Paris. He'd always thought of returning to France, but the death of the...
Yeah, I mean, normally taking your fake paper money and turning it into hard assets like real estate is a good idea. But if it's the 1700s and you're about to be exiled, it's actually bad because you can't access those estates. Like, in the modern day, they can do it all the time by buying real estate all over the world and don't even have to be there. But in the 1700s, you're kind of screwed.
Duke of Orleans in 1723 severed the link to his closest ally and friend. He spent his last years gambling on reflecting on where he had gone wrong. Nothing he did was wrong, he thought. he still believed that sound money using paper would be the best way to run an economy, but the speculation of the public ruined it. In one case, he blamed the end of his scheme on a plague that had struck southeastern France that year, causing people to flee to the safety of gold. He had even offered his services to the Duke of Lorraine and the Papal States, both of course rejecting him after this saga. John Law died a relatively poor man in Venice in 1729.
What a life, though!
After once becoming the most powerful man in the world. Although his scheme ended in
There's still hope. It can happen to Elon. There's still fucking hope, boys. It can happen to Elon. If it happened to John Law, it can happen to Elon.
Spectacular failure, and he died disgruntled and dismissed, John's ideas would come to define how a modern economy is run. Nearly everywhere on Earth uses paper money today. Considering how many opposing kingdoms he had proposed his ideas and helped to, regardless of his Scottish background, I think he would be absolutely delighted to see how his land bank proposal ended up today.
That was a fantastic video. I really enjoyed it. Shout out to Hoser for making that. Most people don't make videos like that. I wish it was doing better, actually. Very cool. Very fucking cool. Very good video. Crazy he made that and the song Take Me to Church. That is crazy. Take me to church, I worship like a dog at the line in. All right, one more video, and then an AoE game, and then Smallville. Maybe 2 AoE games if I'm feeling froggy. What do you guys want to watch? Link me in our Get Smarter Saturday website. Bum, 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 bum. GSS, drop your video. Drop your video. What do we got? Guys, you've been putting the mechanics of being Big Bird on this fucking GSS thing for like 4 years. I'm not going to watch it. Stop linking at me. Stop linking it to me. The protein shake diet. I tried to make something in America. The video we just watched. The really dark truth about bots. 1 out of 3 are not real. 1 out of 3 bots are not real? Or 1 out of 3 voices you hear on Twitter? I don't want to listen to the Red Army Choir, My Army. Video essays are slop. Dude. I don't really think we should watch this, but I agree with it so hard I want to click it. But isn't this going to be a video essay in itself about the most evil company, Uber? I didn't say this. I was going to make fun of this in some of these Lil A clips. I didn't say this. You think Uber's more evil than fucking Monsanto or fucking Nestle? Uber's not... Uber's not even on the list, bro. You actually did, though? I didn't say that. I don't know what this clip is of. I'm sure I'm talking about Uber in some way. It's not the most evil company. I've never said that. Click it to check. I don't want to give it the... Why thorium is about to change the world. This does seem very interesting. I have been hearing a lot about thorium reactors. But maybe I've already done enough for me, you know? Let's see if we can find something the chat might be more palatable to. Oh, this is interesting. I do want to hear about these fucking insane Chinese dolls. They've been popping off like crazy. Yeah, let's watch this. It's only 7 minutes.
Whenever Chinese retailer Pop Mart drops a new Labubu designer toy, it sells out within minutes.
It sold out.
Insufficient stock.
Already?
These hard-to-get toys are packaged in blind boxes, meaning customers buy them without...
Love that. Dude, I love gambling. I love gambling, and I think it should be part of more things. I think the human weakness for gambling should be exploited every way possible. Did you see? Oh, dude, actually, this is kind of sad that it's a good thing. Did you see that? I think it was Canada is testing out gambling recycling, where you turn a can in and you have a chance of getting like let me find this out. It's like a gotcha. Canada. Yeah, here it is. Wait.
For a bottle or a chance to win $1,000. If you pick the second option, you're not alone, according to a new research study out of UBC.
People prefer the small chance to win $1,000 over the guaranteed 10 cents back, because it's more fun. It's like a lottery. Each bottle is like a lottery ticket to win $1,000.
A 1 in 10,000 chance of winning $1,000 costs exactly the same as giving out a dime for every bottle. But researchers found it would make people recycle nearly 50% more.
Isn't that fucking crazy? We're just so dumb. Human beings just fucking love to gamba. We yearn for it. That's so fire. That's so fire, dude. 10 cents is whatever, but the chance of 10 grand. Yeah, I mean, you're making the exact case that people think about. The chance of it is so exciting. Even though, over all the bottles you would return, it would add up to some amount that of real cash, but instead you probably have zero. I'll simply hit. Humans deserve to go extinct? Okay, now you're way on the other side. No, we don't. Because we like the gamba, we deserve to go extinct. You're way too fucking doomer, dude. No, I just think it's kind of funny that we don't... Humans are real fuzzy on math. We're just fuzzy on math. Anyway, it's just... This is a gamba being used for good. People are recycling more. I guess we could do that more often. What if every time you, what's something we want to incentivize? Every time you, vote? Yeah. Dude, if you vote, you get a chance to win. That's crazy. People would be fake voting. We'd have so many fucking stuffed ballots. People actually would rig the election at that point. It would be so... lots of stupid people would vote. Oh, as opposed to now where we only have the best and the brightest. No, you're right. We shouldn't change anything because then stupid people might vote. Hope you don't vote with takes like that, bro. I think, what else could you gamba? What else could you gamba for good? Gamba for good, we call it. That's my fucking charity. Gamba for good. We're going to set this shit up. Water usage. Healthcare. How does that work? Adoption. Every kid you adopt, you get a chance at. Oh, that's terrible, dude. Every kid you adopt is a chance at $1 million. There'd be basements full of kids. Nobody's even feeding them. Teeth brushing? Nah, it can't be something you can lie about. It has to be something that you get the entry when you do it. If it's like miles you run or something, people just lie, and then it doesn't work. It has to be something you can, like blood donations. Yeah, that could work. Or taxes. Oh my God. Correctly filing your taxes with no notes from the IRS should give you a chance of getting it all paid free. But then somehow the fucking, like, Bezos would rig it. He keeps winning every year. Oh, I won again. Oh, damn. How did that? Oh, crazy. I don't understand. I keep fucking, I guess I binked it. Okay, let's watch this video. I just thought that was funny.
Knowing what's inside.
Oh, this is the main one that I actually wanted.
And they drive the majority of Pop Mart's revenue, which more than doubled in the past year. Unboxings have flooded social media. Fans flock overseas to buy exclusive products. And Labubu dolls have been spotted dangling off of celebrities.
I go Pop Mart everywhere.
But can the company continue to grow beyond this viral moment that has seen its share prices rocket more than 1,200% since the beginning?
This is just another Beanie Babies, but it's a real culture war moment that it's a Chinese company. That says something. It's American celebrities, but it's a Chinese company. They have the modern day Beanie Babies. They have the, there's something there.
Beginning of 2024, this is the economics of Pop Mart. The 15-year-old company was founded by Chinese entrepreneur Wang Ning as a variety store. But it was the blind box packaging that really helped Pop Mart take off.
You're all set, right? Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
In 2019, over 70% of Pop Mart's revenue came from mystery boxes.
There's a long history of blind box, and what we've done is just added our own flavor to that.
Now, the company has more than 500 stores and 2,000 vending machines worldwide. When you decide to splurge on a Pop Mart blind box, which could cost around $20 to $30, you don't go in totally blind.
Okay.
Take this collection. There are 6 possible characters you could unbox, and a secret one that you have a 1 in 72 chance of getting.
Oh my God, it's just fucking loot boxes. It just got, I mean, they really have every, it's like mobile games stole psychological tricks from gambling, and now the real world is stealing all the tricks from mobile games. It's all just this infinite fucking Ouroboros of eating its own tail until the whole world is gambling.
One of the things that the brand can do to keep engagement, to encourage consumers to get a little more excitement out of it, is to label the box. This one says, have a seat. I know the range, so I still get that surprise. But at the same time, I know I'm not going to get anything crazy.
That specific range also creates a set.
It's well-known, well-supported phenomenon that most people, under certain conditions, have a very strong tendency to want to complete a set.
This is version 1. This is the have a seat. This is version 2.
I have all the, everything that came out.
But Pop Mart isn't just for the thrill seekers.
For a lot of people, there's a little bit of a feeling that you are being nurtured in a sense. The universe is about to give you a gift. So, take a look. Oh, I think it's the light or the slightly darker blue one. For no reason at all, except that I chose a favorite. Now, what's the cost if I'm wrong? Almost nothing. I'm dead wrong, but it's still fun, right?
Shut up. Shut the fuck up, dude. No, what do these things cost? What's the retail of these things? $20? It costs you something. It's just it's like saying buying a lottery ticket has no cost. It has a cost. Of course.
Pop Mart didn't invent blind box packaging, but it is successfully leaning into what customers like about it.
We started as a retail store, and we've spent 15 years refining that experience. Our collectibles bring people together naturally, and our stores offer a place for them to have that experience.
When it launched the big Into Energy Labubu line in April, a crowd of 2,500 people showed up at its Century City location before 6:30 a.m.
Bro, I'm adding blind box Enron hats by the end of the week. I promise you that. If you guys want the rare one, wait a minute. Hold up. Holy shit, guys. I just pulled the extremely rare 1 in 72 American flag Chance Enron hat, only available on July 4th. What the fuck? This is awesome! Dude, if I was you, I would probably buy as many Enron hats as I could on July 4th for the rare chance that you accidentally get shipped one of these, which you were going to have in just a few key lucky boxes. Damn, these are sick. USA, baby! And even if you're not a true believer, just know the value of these Enron hats, the rare ones, always goes up. So you should buy as many as you can, because if you get your hands on one, it's an appreciating asset that'll be useful for your family for generations. It's illegal for it to go down. Once I can jaw law it.
And that's become...
I don't want it, but I have to have it. Can I use Klarna? Not only can you use Klarna, it's required. We did a deal with Klarna. We had an exclusive Klarna deal. You can't use cash. You must use
the norm for many of the company's releases. Stores are a key part of Pop Mart's strategy to grow beyond China. Sales outside of China more than tripled in 2024. Overseas revenue now makes up nearly 40% of the company's sales, up from 17%.
And you're so passionate that I trust your reaction is authentic? Yeah, dude. Why would I be passionate about this unless I cared about it? Just because I have a financial incentive? When has that ever motivated anyone? Okay? I want you to have this hat because it's fucking awesome and it could change your life.
In 2023. The company plans to open more than 20 stores in the U.S. by the end of 2025, nearly doubling its footprint in the country. But to drive that foot traffic, it's really about what's inside the boxes. Though Pop Mart does license some existing IP, like Disney and Marvel characters, over 85% of its revenue in 2024 came from exclusive products developed with artists.
After having a store for 6 years at that point, I think that we were looking for a new way to innovate. The CEO of Pop Mart, he put out a survey online and asked people, what artist would you want to see? What characters would you want to see in a blind box format or as a collectible toy? And so he connected with Kenny Wong, who's a Hong Kong-based artist, and worked with him to bring his Molly character into our first series, which was the Zodiac series, which we released in 2016.
And Labubu is a part of the...
Okay, let's be real. Who in chat is a Labubu collector? You can be honest. Who is a person that owns some Labubus? My girlfriend has like 7. Mod's bad that guy for having a girlfriend. You're not focused enough on the grind.
The Monsters line, designed by Hong Kong artist Ka-Sing Leung. The line is now the biggest driver of Pop Mart's growth. Its revenue saw a 726% growth from the previous year. Customers love the characters so much that Labubu products go for massive markups on the secondary market. Finding the right artists and characters is a key part of the company's growth strategy, too. In 2023, the company released the Peach Riot series with its first US-based artist, Libby Frame. Pop Mart says it's now the company's top IP in average figurine blind box sales in North America.
We want to continue to create for the Western market as well and look for more Western artists to bring in.
How about that?
Its mix of IP and retail situates Pop Mart in between its blind box competitors, Japanese company Dreams, which primarily develops IP like Smisky and Sunny Angel, and Chinese retailer Miniso, which primarily sells and distributes other companies' IP products. All of those companies have made blind boxes go viral. Fans have hoarded huge collections, spending hundreds of dollars along.
I mean, this is China cultural influence, dude. This is kind of wild. I mean, this shit's going viral on TikTok, which is a Chinese social media platform. You know, it doesn't seem like a big deal when you think about it, but like this would be unthinkable 15 years ago, that this shit is like as massive as it is.
Way.
Out of China in the
army
West.
has gathered.
Well, I think I've spent around $300. I think it's around $600 or more. They add up.
Blind boxes for many, many of the consumers is an experience, not a product. And so you've been investing that anticipation and you want that big payoff. So in that sense, it resembles very strongly gambling.
So much so that several countries have regulated the industry in Asia, where blind boxes have already become a billion-dollar market. Singapore has proposed capping the value of mystery boxes to 100 Singaporean dollars, or around 77 US dollars. And China banned the sale of blind boxes to kids under the age of 8.
The target audience for our product.
You shouldn't be gambling until you're 9. That's when your brain is fully developed enough to know how great it is. I think that's fair. I think by 9 years old, you can gamble responsibly. But an 8-year-old's just too young.
Is an adult collector. We are specifically hitting that Gen Z kidult customer, so they're more.
Stay out of my fucking market, Labubu. I'm trying to teach them economics, all right? We don't need to fucking, don't try to muscle in on my turf.
Collectible items than anything else, and so they're definitely not marketed for children.
And as with any viral phenomenon, there's a risk of the fad dying out, so the company is working to diversify.
Our sales have shifted significantly from blind box figurines to now it's much more plush. And we're also expanding in our accessories category. That's one of the fastest growing categories that we have.
Still, amid an uncertain trade war with China, those products might get a little more expensive to sell in the US. Pop Mart declined to comment on the US-China trade environment.
Longevity is key to everything that we're doing, and we will continue to innovate and offer new ways for people to interact with the characters that they have come to love. Whether that's something like our theme park, where you can interact with mascot versions of our characters as well. Digital content we're developing, there will continue to be ways that we can build the stories of these characters, continue to build those narratives, and continue to give people a way to interact with all of the characters that they've fallen in love with.
A global.
Okay, there's a follow-up. This is very interesting. But this is an older video. This is 10 days ago. That's not even that old. But I think this is happening right now. My understanding, so I've heard that, and this is unverified, so don't trust it, but I've heard that because they're so valuable and because they're made in China, and because China has strict capital controls that make it hard to get cash out of the country, wealthy Chinese have been using them to smuggle money out of the country. Because if you just take your Chinese yuan, buy a bunch of Labubu, then take those out of the country, you can resell them for USD. But you can't turn your yuan into USD. Anyway, I don't know if that's what this video is about, but it's called The Real Threat to the Labubu Economy. So we can watch that. Let's just see.
Pop culture sensation, but other Chinese companies are looking to give Pop Mart's famous dolls a run for their money. For example, Miniso's come up with their own character named
competitors,
and many other Labubu copycats are also flooding the market. Bloomberg opinion columnist Shuli Ren is with us to discuss whether Pop Mart can hold on to its monstrous market lead. Shuli, want to start with the most obvious question, which is why? Are we really doing this? Who's buying these things?
So Labubu came from China, but it really got viral, Paul.
That was kind of I don't like the way he said that. I don't like the way he said that. Fucking too judgy. Too judgy, Paul Allen. He put too much stank on it. People buy all sorts of shit. Paul Allen, I bet you got a fucking midlife crisis convertible you bought. People buy shit for all sorts of reasons, Paul Allen. Let's see Paul Allen's Labubu.
So Labubu came from China, but it really got viral, Paul, in Southeast Asia when Blackpink's Lisa was pronouncing to her fans that she was obsessed with Labubu. And then Labubu became really popular in China. And what we're seeing is that in recent months, the so-called Chinese Labubu moms, they were buying those toys to award their school kids if they were doing well in school. In Hong Kong, when you look at the investment bankers, like a lot of the female bankers, they were wearing Labubu keychains along with their Birkin bags. So what we are seeing is that the clientele of Labubu actually has gone upstream to the upper middle class. And that both really...
It's a bit of a status signifier, too. Not just like a fucking, what are the stupid dolls that are, what's the millennial doll? Why am I blanking on every name today? My God, my fucking brain. Am I getting Funko Pops is what I'm thinking of. Why can't I think of Funko Pops, bro? Yeah, it's the Funko Pops. But Funko Pops don't have cultural status. But if this is like a Gucci bag, if it's like a cool thing to have one.
Really well for Pop Mart as a company.
Yeah, it's certainly paying off. The Labubu Maker Pop Mart now worth more than twice as much as Sanrio and Mattel combined.
That's crazy. Damn. 2x Sanrio Mattel combined.
So can it maintain Labubu's lead in this designer toys business?
So that's what everyone wants to know, right? Like now that Pop Mart has hit the jackpot, everyone wants to be in this business. Alibaba Pictures, they are also talking about doing designer toy IPs, and that stock is up more than 100%. There is a smallish Chinese...
Damn, they're going to make Labubu movies like Angry Birds?
Company stock that's listed on NASDAQ called QuantaSing. Earlier this year, they bought a collectible toy IP design company, and that stock is up 400%. So everyone wants to be in it. And the question is whether Pop Mart can do enough to keep Labubu as the #1 designer toy. And I have to say that Pop Mart has to limit the supply so that, influencers do still see that this toy is a scare.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to learn a lesson from Beanie Babies, is if you overdo it and over. I mean, it's like what we talk about. Same with money. Same with everything. If you reduce the scarcity, if you overprint, overproduce, then it becomes slop, and then nobody cares anymore. It loses its status. But every fad ends, no matter what. But they can make it last longer. I mean, Beanie Babies lasted a while.
Scarcity in the marketplace.
Yeah, that does raise the question of market saturation, particularly with copycats, competitors, Lafufu, Wakuku starting to appear as well. Is this a fad? Could this see saturation and we stop talking about it as quickly as we started talking about it?
I think Pop Mart has to keep the Labubu supply very, very tight. Like right now, Labubu has a pretty vibrant second-hand marketplace. In fact, the scalper...
Yeah, I mean, I saw this, dude. Chinese customs agents are seizing hundreds of Labubu in the recent weeks. As people try to smuggle them in and out of the country. That shit's crazy. I don't get it. It's so hideous. Dude, one thing you got to realize about branding, this will blow your mind. Whether or not it looks good almost doesn't matter. It only has to be distinct. What's important is that it's distinct. You can recognize that it's something different than something else. Being distinct is what matters. That's why people end up with very boring but clean-looking logos. Because they think making it look good is what matters, but it looks like everything else. It has to stand out. It has to be different. Well, that's fascinating. That was a very interesting thing about Labubu. Now I think I'm going to play some Age of Empires. I think I'm gonna play
I
some.
keep telling y'all better stop following trends. That Labubu doll is evil, and now y'all about to find out.
Wait, I'm sorry. The Labubu dolls are evil. One more thing. A TikTok is telling me the Labubu dolls are the devil. And I accidentally liked it, so now I'm gonna get.
So it's a keep telling.
I accidentally liked the TikTok, and now I'm screwed, and I'm gonna get a million TikToks about Labubu doll fucking conspiracy theories. Oh
Following
no.
trends. That Labubu doll is evil. But now y'all
I'm in Labubu talk.
So it's a video of this girl saying that she's throwing her Labubu away because it's evil. She said she was sleeping in her room and she woke up with a scar on her neck. Mind you, of course, nobody's in her room with her. And there was no other way for her to get the scar on her neck. Matter of fact, look at this shit. Look at this shit.
I had to throw my Labubu away.
Listen.
And that's what I did. Cut the show. Cut the motherfucking show. Y'all. Look at this.
Look at them all.
Oh no! He thinks the Labubu is fucking marking people up in their sleep? This is Xi Jinping's great plan? Holy fuck. Deep undercover.
How did that get there?
My nails are not even that long or sharp for me to scratch myself. I took a nap, y'all, like an hour and a half nap right now. And I woke up and I literally looking at myself all day today in the mirror. I was like,
Okay, I gotta ask a question. The guy who sent me this link, how do you have this? What is your fucking algorithm that you're getting insane fucking reacts to Labubu conspiracies? What the fuck?
oh, period, body tea, like that's how they all day today. And I was in the restroom right now and I was obviously looking at myself again when I woke up. And I noticed this, like, so that means I was looking at myself all day today. I would have noticed this.
Okay.
I fucking hate how TikTokers react to things. Just this fucking the autofill green screen, usually over like a news article.
Whatever this is on my neck, right?
So she said her brother said he came in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and when he came in, a door that he left open was fully closed. Who closed the door? And then look at what the Simpsons said about that Labubu doll. We already know that the Simpsons always tell the truth about what's going on. And this ain't the only time somebody is saying that something happened with one of those Labubu dolls. I mean, look at the dolls. They look evil. They look like something is wrong. Why would you buy a doll that looks like that? Okay. Keep playing with these things, and y'all gonna run into issues.
Wait, he's cooking. He didn't even show me the Simpsons thing. Holy shit. Well, he cracked the case wide open. I was going to buy a ton of
First you have a
Labubus.
man saying that.
I decided not to. He talked me out of it. He talked me the fuck out of it, bro. I like the proof being just look at it. That's funny. All right. Listen. I'm going to play one game of Age of Empires, and then I'm going to watch Smallville. So get fucking locked in. Get ready. And I need you to grab your horns, grab your helmets, grab your shields, grab your axe. Because the Viking 10,000 year dynasty is coming the fuck back. Where's my axe? Where's my axe? Where's my axe, dude? Ah, let's fucking go!